Tinfoil hat. Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Good morning, Swarm, and welcome to Tinfoil Hat. You know I am. You know what I'm here to do. I'm here to rock a solo podcast for you. That's right. Daddy's on his own, live from the Wise Wolf Gold and Silver Studios adjacent. Go to SamTripoli.gold. Okay, go to SamTripoli.gold and use the promo code Tinfoil, and you could join the Wolf Pack. And for as little as $50 a month, you can get precious metals sent right to your house. And it's a great way to hedge your bets against this fiat money that is about to go bye-bye. Go bye-bye. So if you want to see Sam Tripoli live, go to SamTripoli.com, okay? And go to events, and you can grab your tickets right there. Next weekend, I'm in Kansas City on the 18th through the 20th at the Comedy Club of Kansas City, one of my favorite clubs to play. Just go to SamTripoli.com, grab all of my dates there. And then finally, if you guys could, don't be afraid to help me, support me on my new premium content on SamTripoli.com. We're doing dangerous there. Stuff I can't do on anybody's website. That's right. I'm doing it there for only $8 a month. You are getting all of my personal premium content. And we got dangerous, deep conspiracy rewinds, AMAs, all that stuff right there. Bang, bang, pow. More bang for your buck. Just go to SamTripoli.com and enjoy this episode with my two friends, Josh Denny and Agostino Zoida. Josh has a special coming out called Goliath. That's available. It's out now on YouTube. And then Zoida, my good friend Zoida, he has The Gentleman Savage, and that's going to be available at the end of the month on Movie Savage. Enjoy this episode about the democracy of the dub. All right, let's get into it. Very excited to have my two friends on here. It's always fun to have this kind of going back to the old version of the Tinfoil Hat, where we had comedians on talking conspiracies, and then it turned into a serious show. So it's always fun to go back and be able to talk to comics and have a fun look at it. Both of these guys have specials out right now. You know him from just his wars on Twitter. He's one of the funniest guys I know, one of the best writers out there. Please welcome Josh Denny, and his new special, Goliath, is available on YouTube. Josh Denny, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
You know what? I'm really upset. I violated in introducing comics. I hate when someone introduces you on stage and they say your name first, then your credentials. Yeah. It drives me effing nuts, dude. You do the credentials, then the name. And then the next guy, he has our next guest, good friend of mine. We've been on the road a lot. He has a new special out called Gentleman Savage.
Yes, sir.
It's on Movies Plus. Please welcome Agostino Zoida. How are you, buddy?
Hey, man. I'm great. It's great to see you.
Good to see you, too. I'm glad you're committing to the drive-through window headset, which I wish I had the balls to use, because it would solve so many more problems in my life.
So convenient, man.
It's just so convenient. It's like, you know what it is? That is the version of the underhand foul shot in basketball. Like, if more people did it, they'd hit more shots, but they're too pussy to do it. And that's how I feel. I wish I had the balls like you, dude.
Just join the dark side, bro. Britney Spears did it. It's the trend.
Okay. So very excited, man. You guys, how long you guys' specials been out?
Mine's been out since Thursday. I put it out on 4th of July, and live chatted with the premiere of it, and it's been good. It's been well received.
Nice.
Agostino, how long have you been out?
Yeah, mine's not out yet. It starts streaming on July 25th, but it's on pre-sale right now.
Okay, perfect, dude. Yeah, go check it out. Movies Plus is great. They're trying to give everybody a voice in this day and age of like everything getting more and more censorship. I just did an episode on my all my premium content is moving to SamTripoli.com. It's all going to be on there. And I have something called Dangerous on there. And that's where I do like the dangerous episodes that like people are emotionally can't handle. They run around, just the discussion of it drives them crazy. Like I hate the most annoying thing on Twitter right now are the Hitler dick riders who are just like Hitler was actually a good guy. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Okay. So we're having discussions about the book Wall Street and the Rise of Hitler, which is a really great book if you want to read it. But so everything's moving over there because the internet isn't what it was only 9 years ago, 10 years ago. We really didn't realize how good we had it about 2014. It was just pure fire. You could find anything anywhere. And then Hillary had to come and ruin everything, just walk in and shit in our birthday cake and just ruin the internet as it was because her lies were getting caught in real time. The days of like, oh, it would take them forever to understand we're lying, we're dead and gone. And now the internet is pretty instantaneous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at right now,
Yeah, I mean, it's, and what's funny, I was talking with Brandon Strock about this. Like, what's funny to me is how quickly now it seems like things are moving through the political cycle, right? So, like, when we were younger, you had sort of the pearl clutching, Bible thumping conservative right who was always against free speech and was trying to put parental advisory labels on records. And then it swung the other way to where you had the extreme left who was like, yeah, not only should we have free speech, but we should also just, change the rules of society so that people feel better. And then, the right's response to that is, well, it's probably time to exterminate the Jews. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, can we find a middle ground where we can talk about people as individuals and ideas as individuals and say, okay, let's unpack this shit one at a time? Because do you guys know who Lily Gaddis is? The broke ass niggas chick who got
by the way, I still love her. I don't care what.
Yeah, she's great. I reached out to her when her thing happened and was like, hey, been there, done that. Like, don't let them.
You're in trouble when Josh Denny is DMing you. Hey, I'm here if you need to talk.
Yeah, no, but yeah, that is true. You are definitely in trouble. But and I was like, don't apologize. As we always say, the problem with a public apology is that people take it as you apologizing for what they think you did and not what you may actually have contrition or guilt over. So don't ever fucking publicly apologize. And it's funny because she's like completely come around the racetrack where when she initially broke, the right like got their arms around her. And then she went out to like a AFPAC thing, America First thing with all Nick Fuentes guys and was like, these guys are like creepy, gay, like incel Nazis. They're not America First, patriotic, like man's men. These are like 4chan dudes who are now pretending to love Trump to like own liberals and be counterculture. And she's like, they're the same kind of pussies that are on the left. They just are on the other side because that seems more interesting. So it's kind of funny, like now when you talk about the internet not being the way it was 9 years ago, like you can get chewed up and spit out through both sides of the political sphere in a matter of a week, which is kind of what her experience was like.
Yeah, it was a very weird thing because everybody, there's just a certain segment of the right that everybody is controlled opposition. That's it. And like I've said before, the most privilege in society is beauty. Okay? And when you have a hot chick dropping N-bombs right? People are going to
Something I used to
gravitate
have
to
to
that.
pay for.
Yeah, right. I mean, dude, I can't tell you how many hours of phone sex I've had.
What do you
been
mean
called that
used
by.
to?
Yeah. Well, no, I bought years ago, and now I just have one at home that lets me, say.
I love it, dude. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why. Just the M
I
word
was
just gets me going. I
I was
just love
leasing
guys-
for a long time, and then I thought, you know what, it's time to buy.
it.
Have you guys noticed a weird trend in like Facebook posts feeling very body? Like they feel very bot, very AI.
Oh
and
yeah, dude.
they're
The
just
whole
complete
internet.
fake accounts.
It's called the dead internet, and
It's very like anti-Trump driven, or sometimes there's a pro-Trump one, but they just don't seem like real Trumpers. They don't really seem real left. It just seems like they're using bot accounts. It's like all my Facebook
100%.
account is.
Here's a scary proposition based off of something you weighed in on or retweeted earlier yesterday, Sam. The scary thing is that they're not bots. Like the amount of people that are willfully compliant with self-censorship and like oh, I have to be anonymous. If I say what I really think, I'll lose my job. And it's like, yeah. And if enough people do that, that will stop happening.
Well,
You know what I mean?
snowballs, right?
Yeah, these people have no idea. These are like, I used the analogy earlier. These are like slaves telling me that the plantation is the best we're gonna ever get. Like these are people who are like, dude, I have like
You're
anonymity
so right,
is how we
dude.
have free speech. And I go, if you have to be anonymous to exercise free speech, you don't have that right.
I totally
that's-
agree with that.
That's not a right. And on one hand, part of the reason, like I understand that the world we live in is that there are unfortunately consequences for things that there shouldn't be, that should be protected by the First Amendment. But the way to fight that is to not play by the rules. It's not to live in anonymity and share your ideas. It's to be outspoken. And when your job sues you, get a lawyer or fires you, get a lawyer and sue them. And if enough people do that and just wipe out people's legal insurance funds in these frivolous free speech lawsuits for wrongful termination, then it will stop happening. But the problem is so many people are like, the reason the COVID mandates worked was because so many people just went along with it.
Yeah.
Right. And so this idea, this is the same thing I say about like comics apologizing for jokes. The minute that a comic apologized for a joke, it told the audience maybe some jokes need to be apologized for. And so it's almost like Inception. It's like by playing along with it, you're actually making them think that they're doing the right thing.
Well, it's also, dude, like there's an infection that happens when rich kids go woke. When rich kids go woke, it infects everything it touches. It's like venom, and it just spreads everywhere. And what happens is you have like outlaws who do things because that's all they can do, right? That's like we'll talk like UFC fighters, stand-up comics, adult film stars, whatever you want to think about them. You know, most of them come from disadvantaged homes, broken homes, and they don't really have a lot of skill sets except for, doing outlaw shit. And enough people do it starts to create like a whole ecosystem, and the ecosystem where everybody starts making money. And then what happens? The rich kids see it, and now they want to do that. They want to start to do all the outlaw stuff, but they don't want to make it. They don't want to do it outlaw. They want to make it mainstream so they can be in both worlds. So they can be both a rich kid and an outlaw at the same time. So they mainstream it. Pornography with OnlyFans. Oh, bare knuckle fighting, the UFC. I mean, like Sean, like back in the day, they used to show all the porn stars that were in the audience at UFC fights. Now it's like, oh, Sean Strickland loses a fight that everyone knows he won because he said some things about gays like 2 days before the fight in Canada. So now we got the mainstreaming of that, and Ryan Garcia, right? Ryan Garcia in boxing. Dropping N-bombs left and right, regardless of what you think or don't think about that. The fact that the WBC, I think it is, drops him, they ban him from their organization in boxing, where we've had rapists, murderers, felons, like it's boxing. It's like, you're sensitive about words, and like, again, like you got to give Owen Benjamin his flowers when it comes to like his take on the N-word, which was, people care more about words than they do about actions.
Yeah.
And that just lets you know that we as a society are too emotional when words hurt more than actions. When people will vote for people who are the quote unquote lesser evil,
Right.
because the other side represents something they can't even begin. Like the thought of them. And this is where we're getting when you get into Nick Fuentes and all that stuff. You have them. He's talking about Project 2025, which to me is just this giant psyop to scare the left. They're like, oh, dude, if Trump gets in, look what they're going to bring in. They're like establishing families. People are like, oh my God, establishing families. Oh my God, they're going to subjugate us. It's just,
and they, when they talk about the right promoting the nuclear family, they make it sound like a dude who looks like Nick Fuentes is going to come into your house and rape you at gunpoint to preserve the nuclear family. And it's just like, yeah, that's not what it is. And going back to what I said earlier, Sam, you're absolutely right. And Owen was on the right side of that. It's like they say about a broken clock, right? 2 times a day. Carl Spitali gave Owen the best nickname of anyone we've ever said. When we were at 4th of July, he came up and he goes, dude, he's such a righteousness hipster. Like before it was popular to hate the Jews or expose the Jews, Owen was like, oh, the Jews. And then now that it's become mainstream, he's like, I don't even have a problem with the Jews. You guys are the Jews. You guys are. He's like a guy who's like, I was into Tool before anybody knew who they were.
Dude, I should get you and him to have a debate on the show.
He'll never do it. Because, and you and I have talked about this. Is like, because at the end of the day, like I know L.A. Owen from the comedy scene. Like he can go on and he can debate all of these dudes from the right and the left and the politosphere and all this shit. He's never going to get on with somebody who knew him before he was this guy, who could just pull his card and be like, hey man, remember when you used to hang out and drink until 2 a.m. at the comedy clubs and do a bunch of shit now that you pretend like you never did? Like he's never going to get on and talk to anybody about that. So, but my point is, the only reason that the N-word shit has ever happened like that is because white people agreed to it. Like when white people started looking at black people punching and resorting to violence in response to the N-word and going, well, that feels about right. And in the special, I talk about this. It goes back to the OJ trial. We literally had a dude on national TV, evidence, and he murdered his wife and a waiter. And then we're like, but this cop said the N-word, and everybody goes, it cancels it out. So let the man walk.
You're so right. I never even
thought
about that.
And that was the moment in history where all of America said, that N-word, though, I mean, it pretty much gives them permission to do whatever they think they need to do.
Yeah.
And that's when we lost control of society.
I know. You know what? You're totally right. There is I've been talking a lot about this to myself, by the way, and I've been thinking about how we are so emotional right now that we're never going to be able to fix it. Democracy is dead when you are overly emotional about the voting process. If you think voting for the lesser of two evils is somehow democracy, it is not.
Right.
Right? Because when you vote for the lesser two evils, you're still voting for evil. Whereas I have been like, fuck both these guys in the past, whatever, and voted for neither of them. That's it. That's how it goes. Same. Hey guys, real quick, I want to tell you about our man, James McMahon, and Copy My Crypto. Listen, the crypto market is crazy right now. You got to check it out. So here, let me tell you a little bit about my boy, James McMahon, and Copy My Crypto. Has it pissed you off to watch crypto fly up in prices for a decade and you still have done nothing about it? It makes sense. Crypto's complicated and really boring. Well, here's the good news. You don't need to know a thing about crypto to make money like so many have. The CopyMyCrypto.com membership site shows you the exact cryptos that YouTuber James McMahon personally owns, which means you just got to copy him. It's like having a big brother who knows what he's doing. You don't need to know a thing about crypto or how to invest. Just simply copy along. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about James. He runs the Crypto with James YouTube channel, which has over 54,000 subscribers. In the summer of 2020, he told his viewers to buy 26 cryptos. Had you put $100 into each, it went on to be well worth $123,000. Of the 26 cryptos, his top pick of the year, the one he singled out called Phantom, went up 692 times from when he said to buy it, okay? That one call alone has retired a number of people, including guys in their 20s and 30s. Remember, this is public knowledge. You can go to YouTube and verify for yourself. So if you'd like to join the 2,800 members who have copied James, then pause what you're doing and head over to copymycrypto.com/TFH. That's copymycrypto.com/TFH. That's TFH. You'll not only find proof of everything I said, but my viewers will get a full access for just $1. Yes, you've missed out on Bitcoin, but there's over 2 million other cryptos. Do you really think you've missed out on all of it? Guys, don't waste your time. Go to the site and read it. Once again, that's copymycrypto.com/TFH. Guys, it's ended money worries for so many. It may just do the same for you. Copymycrypto.com/TFH.
I mean, I walked away from that debate. Agostino, I don't know what your thoughts on it were, but like I watched that debate and everyone was like, oh, like it's got to be over for Biden. And I go, yeah, but I don't think it was that good for Trump either. Like,
No.
Everyone I talked to on both sides of the political aisle were like, dude, if you rolled out anybody 30 years younger than these two motherfuckers, they'd have my vote tomorrow. Just because like none of them are cogent. None of them have a fucking plan for fixing the country. One guy thinks he's already doing it, and the other guy thinks he did it 4 years ago, and it's still fucking broken.
Yeah, the people who are like anti-Trump, the only thing that they could say about it was like he lied, but none of them are smart enough to tell you what they actually think he lied about. It's just like, oh, he lied about like 30 things we counted. It's like, what was it though? They're not actually saying the real reason not to vote for him. They're just saying he lied. You know,
yeah, 100%.
And they
crazy,
all lie,
man.
They all lie.
They all lie. And the difference is like Biden has dementia. Like he has an excuse. He was a scumbag before he had dementia, but now he's just has dementia. But with Trump, I've been, you know, maybe 4 years ago, I've kind of been on the leaning towards Trump. But like in the last couple of years, I don't know, man. Like he doesn't fight maturely. They're both very childish. I can't like be behind either of them.
But he also doesn't really like. I mean, he does things enough for you to go, oh, look at this. Look at this. He did that. And then there's just so much shit that you could bring up at any point and be like, well, what about this with Fauci? Why didn't he fire Fauci?
Yes,
Why did he give Bill Gates $10 billion? Why did he like nix the banning of selling weapons to Saudi Arabia for what they were doing to Yemen?
I mean, he's got great questions that people wrote for him. He just happens to be able to function better to say them. As where Biden has great questions that people wrote for him, and he's not able to function to say them.
Yeah,
the problem I have with Trump with the vaccine is like, if I were exactly in Trump's position, the honest answer about the vaccine is like, listen, man, of course I rushed it out. I knew that they were trying to use this fucking pandemic to get me out.
Yeah.
And I panicked and I pushed the vaccine and I did what I thought I had to do to try to get the country back up and running. And it turned out to be the wrong decision. If that motherfucker could say that on television, everyone would vote for him. It would be the biggest landslide, but he'll never do it.
We can't ever get that real, right?
Yeah, we had a beautiful vaccine, fucking cured it. And it's like, no, dude. It's just like, you know, and that's the problem is like not a single one of these guys is ever going to be like, and the gaslighting, it's like you're getting gaslit from both ends where Trump's like, everything I did was beautiful. And it's like, no, some of it sucked. And then, you know, Biden's like, what are you talking about? We got the greatest economy in the world. And it's like, have you fucking been out? Oh, you haven't been outside since 1977.
Right.
And that is the big problem. You have these giant Democratic cities that are big cities because there's a lot of money to be made in those big cities like San Francisco, LA, Chicago, New York, and Philadelphia. And those cities alone basically carry carry the Democrats. And you just have a group. It's like when I said, like I was talking about Ian Allen Black. Is that his name? Allen Black.
Michael Ian Black.
Michael Ian Black. He's like, yeah, man. It's just, it's just like, here's everything wrong with Biden, but I'm still voting for him because
Wow.
better than Trump. It's like you cannot have a functioning democracy if you're not voting for someone just because he doesn't have the letter that you approve of. If you're turning politics into sports, you're voting through emotion.
So
And like I just had
TV.
I've had a family member was like, I was like, yeah, they might pull out Michelle Obama. She's like, I would vote for her 30 times if I could. I go, based on what? Based on what? Why are you voting for? It's like you're turning, and I get it that it's maybe always been that. And I have a comment about that, but you're treating it like it's American Idol. You're just voting for who you like and not who you think is the best.
Based on how well they were able to hide who they really are. That's all it's based on. This person had a better PR person than that person. That's why I love them more. And also their genitalia. I'm going to vote for their genitalia. And I'm a woman, color. So I'm going to, or their skin color. I have no idea what their policies are or how they'll handle anything going on right now, but they're black and they're a woman. Like that's
are
all
they? I mean, it's kind of crazy, dude. It's kind of.
I would love to see somebody have a fucking moral position on something, whether I agree with it or not. Like the thing that drives me furious and what really pushed me to the pro-life side of the abortion debate is that for 30 years, no politician has ever stated a moral position. It's always about what's to get elected. And even Trump is like, I think it should go to the states. And then I'm for the exceptions. Some people aren't. You got to go with your heart. It's like, yeah, but what do you really fucking think though, dude? You know what I mean? Like, talk about it realistically. Like, what do you think it is? And why do you think we should or shouldn't have it in society? Like, it wasn't until I had that conversation with somebody on my podcast years ago that it completely changed my mind. And Adam Yenzer, I famously give him credit for it every time I talk about it, but it's like, he's probably sick of that because his credits are converted Josh Denny to being pro-life and writer for Ellen. I don't know which one's worse to have on your resume, but he's got an Emmy for the Ellen one. For me, probably just hate mail. But my point is, he was like, it's the only exception in society where we allow a citizen to end the life of another citizen without their consent. Right. So even if you're a right to die person, which I am, like if somebody wants to commit suicide and they're in pain, I'm fine with them exercising their freedom. And when we talk about abortion in that way, when you look at it just from sort of a constitutional legal realm, it's like, why do we have that exception? And, and then it turns into like what really will change your mind on the conversation is like the discussion around children with Down syndrome. And it's like, well, there's no evidence that children with Down syndrome not only can't lead fully functioning lives. I talk about this is one of the closing bits of the special. I would argue that they are more evolved versions. It's kind of like if you took the perfect human and maybe smudged it a little. But like in my special, I have a line where I go, if you listen to people with Down syndrome talk about what they look for in a partner and in life, it's so simple and it would break your heart. It's like they just want someone that likes them, that's nice, that's friendly, that's into the same things as them. And if you talk to like a regular person, they'll be like, oh, well, it's like money, it's like status, it's like, what do I deserve? What is this? And I go, we talk about retarded people and we say they have an extra chromosome, but if you listen to us, it sounds like we're missing one. You know what I mean? So like when you hear abortion doctors be like, well, you wouldn't want a fucking retarded baby. It's like, yeah, it might make you a better person, you fucking piece of shit.
We have a guest on that is Manka Presh. She has a child with Down syndrome. She loves that child. Yeah. And I have a daughter that has autism. She's high functioning. I love her to pieces. And I'm now talking about the Downs are rising, dog. The Downs are rising, dude. They're crushing it right now because I think people are But I mean, sadly, they're doing it for clicks and views, but they're giving them opportunities to do things that
They do
maybe.
jujitsu.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like
Cooking shows.
they
Cooking
got
shows.
fat
when the Theo went
asses
on.
now. They got a bunch of fat. They turn around, you're like, look at that fat ass, and they turn around, you're like, oh man, now you got to reassess.
Well,
your
Isn't there like a
thoughts.
reality show now?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's,
it's love on the spectrum. Yeah, but it's not just autistic people. They'll have people with full blown like Down syndrome and stuff.
here's the thing about the abortion issue, and like everyone can have their own beliefs. Um, but my whole thing is like, dude, the Democrats just use it constantly as a wedge issue. And if they really believed what people believe they believe, especially women on the left, they would have codified it already. They would have made it a
Yeah,
constitutional right. But they can't, because once it becomes a constitutional right, it's no longer a wedge issue that they can bring up every 4 years.
no longer a weapon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's no longer something that they drum up to get these women running around nuts. Half of them aren't even attractive, so they don't even have to worry about getting pregnant. They're just like, dude, that's in my new spot. I'm so sick and tired of it, man. I'm so sick and tired of ugly women stopping traffic, yelling at us about their bodies. Like, nobody wants your body. Get the fuck out of here. Okay.
Well, that's the problem with trying to lay current cultural Marxism at the feet of Jews and Gavin's got a great chunk on this, and he's been beating this drum forever, but he's like, the Jews that have sort of poisoned American culture and society are actually ginos. They're like elitist atheists who are not even practicing Jews. And the problem is that now the new generation that have adopted that concept of cultural Marxism through academia are young, college-educated black women. So by the time AFPAC reaches popularity, they're going to be out Jew hunting while black women are destroying America from executive positions and DEI posts and the fucking White House. You know what I mean? So it's like they're completely behind the times in terms of who is behind the steering wheel of cultural Marxism. And it is like a pull up all C-level hires for Fortune 500 companies over the last 5 years. You'll be hard pressed not to find a woman of color in 90% of those new hires. And they're coming out of the Yales and the Harvards and the Columbias, and they're just adopting that concept of cultural Marxism. If the outcome sucks, then something's wrong with the system. So we'll just change the rules of the system. It goes back to the closing bit in the special that I have about bumper bowling. That was the first time in society that somebody said, my son sucks at bowling, so I'll just change the fucking rules. Instead of be a father and teach him how to bowl, I'll just change the rules of the game so he can feel better. And that is what has poisoned the well for all of society. The idea of like, hey, yeah, well, I guess we could just change the rules so that the losers win.
Okay, I got a
Everybody
lot to
feels
say on
better.
that. I agree with you. I think the notion that making everything fair is just fighting a windmill that just is never gonna ever. There's no end zone to making everything fair, because once you make everything fair, there's just gonna be someone else who shows up and goes, "Hey, that's not fair against me." And now we're just chasing our tail again.
That's
the
now
whole
it's white guys.
Yeah, the whole thing is that here's my opinion on this. It's my favorite thing is when people go off on me, and he's got his girlfriend's a Jew. I go, you don't even know her. You don't even know what she's going through. She has no power. She has so little power. She has to put up with my shit. That's how little power as a Jew my girlfriend has, that she has to put up with my fucking ass. Do you think she had any power? She'd be living with me right now. She'd be like, fuck you. I'm going to go out in the date of power. But like, no. So it's just this ridiculous thing where it's like, if there's a Jew, there's a problem.
Judaism
Okay?
ground zero, living with SamTripoli.
Yeah. So I'm with you on that. Now, my whole thing is this on Twitter, and we may disagree with this, Josh, at this point, but this notion that anti-Semitism is everywhere is annoying to me. Because my whole opinion is that everyone in society should be treated like white people from 2018 on Twitter. Okay? Where you can blame everybody for everything, no matter what role they had in it or not. So when you keep getting these like Andy Cohens and John Stewarts, or just like, trying to separate Jews from white people, and then trying to be like, Andy Cohen's like, I'm racist. I'm racist against white people. It's like, okay, dude, just know when you set a rule for people, for other people, that rule will come back and fuck you in the ass, Andy Cohen, and not in the way you like, okay? In a whole different way, all right? So my whole thing is like, on the internet, everyone should get it. And by get it, I mean criticism when they pull some shit. I don't believe there should ever be sacred cows. I think that we're in 2024. There's no need for sacred cows. If you sit there and go, well, we're blaming Jews for everything. They've been blaming white people for everything. A lot of that has been pushed by the ginos you talk about, or the ginos, that's the word, in Hollywood for a very long time. I will start to get worried, not really, but for the sake of this discussion, I will start to get worried when Netflix puts out something called Dear Jews, like they did with Dear White People.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
No, we're not close to it.
The problem right now is that this sacred cow, this protected class, is no longer protected. And now they're getting the same shit that white people have been getting forever. And that applies to Jews, that applies to blacks, that applies to women, and that applies to the gays. Everybody gets it.
I don't disagree with you, Sam, and I'll say the same thing to the Jews that black people said to me in 2018 when I said that it's all flipped around and now white guys are the new N-word.
I love that.
When they start,
Jews are the new. Say it, dude.
No, but what I'm saying, well, you remember that line from Sopranos when the black guy's trying to argue with Hesh, and he's like, "I was the white man's nigga before your people ever came along." But anyway,
Jews are the new nigger. Say it. Say it. Say it.
I said it.
You just said it, bro.
But anyway, no. What you got me off my fucking subject. What the fuck was I saying? No. The same thing. Yeah, the same thing that they said to us. Like, well, when black dudes start rolling through white neighborhoods and pulling guys behind pickup trucks, then we can worry when white dudes start getting lynched. So I'll say the same thing to the Jews. When people start rounding up Jews and lynching them, then we'll go, okay, yeah, this is mobilized anti-Semitism. This is a real problem. But I'll say the same thing to Jewish people that people said to me when white people started getting attacked 6 years ago is, oh, you can't handle a little criticism. You know what I mean? So it's like, and by the way, when that shit was happening, I go, be careful with a lot of this anti-white sentiment, because really what it is anti-Semitism masked as anti-white sentiment. And I'll never forget, I was sitting at this AT&T Shape event here in Burbank. It was at the Burbank the Burbank studios, and they had the CEO of DirecTV with P. Diddy and what's her name from Insecure? Fuck, why can't I think of her name off the top of my head? Oh, Issa Rae. And she it was like a black entertainment event, and I was there because obviously, my girlfriend works in that space a lot. And so we were there, and she's on stage with P. Diddy and the CEO of DirecTV, which had just acquired, or AT&T had just acquired DirecTV. And she goes, Hollywood's not going to be right and fair until all these old white dudes die off. And it was just uproarious applause. And I remember turning to my girlfriend and going like, she's talking about the Jews, right? I was like, is no one going to talk about this?
You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
You're 100% correct. And, again, you get into like this is my whole thing. When you just have these people teeing off on white people, once you create a rule for others, it will be used against you. You saw that with right to choose, right? My body, my choice with the vaccine. Once they said you have no choice, they lost all. That's right. They lost all ground. They have no ground to stand on because they made you get, and then they sit there. Because I have friends of mine who got in an argument with me about that. She's like, I don't see it the same. I go, of course you don't, because you have a certain view of the world.
Of course it's the same. If you don't see it the same, it's because it's inconvenient for you to see it the same. There's no other reason for you not to see it the same. Yeah. I mean, to go back a little bit, it's absolutely crazy that it's 2024 and abortion is still the hottest topic of our debates. It's fucking crazy, dude. We're still talking about it. There's no excuse for it other than it's just to weaponize us against each other. And then with the vaccine of it also being a my body, my choice situation is just another weaponization of us to turn on each other. Of course we were going to fight about it. Of course, we're gonna say, "Oh, I thought it was my body, my choice." Like, it's just weaponizing, man. Like, why are we still talking about it? It's absolutely incredible. Like, nothing is black and white, but they
That's
make
what
it
makes
seem like everything's black and white. It's not black and white, dude. Like, abortion's not cool if it's fucking 9 months pregnant. But it's, you know what I mean. But certain circumstances are like, yeah, if you're raped and you're 6 weeks pregnant, like, nothing's black and white, but we just have to keep talking about it because it's fucking weaponizing us. And the only reason why it's being used is so that they can have an agenda. Like this president has this
so they
view on
can
it.
continue to do what they're
Yes.
doing.
Yes, and
with-
even Trump is
and-
using it in his favor, and it's all Biden's campaign is because his numbers are so down. The only thing he has to argue is the right to have an abortion. That's his only campaign. That's it. That's all he's got. If
Well,
you took that argument away, he has nothing.
I agree. I agree. And by the way, this whole thing with Campbell Toe Harris, none of this is spontaneously happening. This has always been the plan to chuck Joe Biden to the side and let her
Yeah.
step in.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
the
yeah,
problem is
They
she
set him up for sure.
the problem is she's so unlikable. It's taken so long for them to do it. Because if she had any kind of positive rating, he would have been gone years ago. But nope, they hate her. Everyone hates her. That's why it's taking so long because they're just begging Michelle Obama to run, and she doesn't want to run because she knows what's going to happen. Like the internet will turn on her. They will every single thing they will come out and it will be amplified.
They'll dig in her past.
They'll dig in her past. They'll be like, where are pictures of her pregnant? They don't exist. Well, look at this couple that looks just like the children that travels them everywhere. By the way, the woman who helped Michelle Obama give birth, okay, looks exactly like the kids. Okay. The exact same person. So she doesn't want to go through that. Her and Barack are enjoying running the government from wherever they're from and not being the face of the government. They just like working from behind the scenes, and to be stepped back into that.
Can we talk about my least favorite saying? Like, it makes me cringe, which is when I see people say blue no matter who. Can we get these people to realize how dumb they are by saying that? How much you expose your stupidity by having that quote on your vocabulary? Blue no matter who. It's the dumbest thing. That means, like, no matter what their policy, no matter who they are, like Trump could fucking run as Democrat and you'd vote for him. All of a sudden you'd switch. It's so fucking dumb. And also it rhymes. Like, how stupid are you?
I have a lot
like, they're so proud of it.
Respect for the conservatives in that sense. Like, they sniff something, they run you out. I mean, how many people? Liz Cheney gone.
Chris Christie
gone. I mean, they just run you out, and then these guys end up basically being Democrats trying to run for the vice president of Trump's thing. What's his name? Pence. He's gone. They're all gone.
It's all strategy. Like, people decide what party they're going to run as based on what their better odds are. They have no like moral, like, I'm going to run as this party because I stand by it. You're just voting for whoever.
Well, it also
chose
gets down
that
to
party.
Agostino to that they have their masters that they've taken their money from, that's given them opportunity, and most likely is blackmailing the fuck out of them.
That's right.
So they play the game until the master goes, hey man, we need you to flip on this because this is, we want to go our way. And then they kind of have to sacrifice their whole chance of running, ever again.
Everybody has an agenda when they run. A friend of mine was telling me recently, a friend of mine is sober, and in the AA community, the person who's like their leader doesn't run for president, right? Like, they're nominated.
Yeah,
like,
that
they're
day.
just, and they don't want to be the person.
Yeah,
they're just
nobody
like,
wants to
you're
run
the
meeting.
best dude for the job, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, okay, I guess I'll do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how you
like,
fix representative
you don't-
government.
Right. Like we don't want people who want the job.
I totally agree with that.
I think you
You're
should
gonna-
have. I think you should have both. I think if you're looking at what's the one thing the founding fathers missed, like they understood we need both, like population-based representative government in the House, and then we need the same number of people per state in the Senate. I think the Senate should be people who want to be politicians. I think the House should be chosen at random, like jury duty. And I think people who represent based on population should get one term of 2 years. It's their civic duty. So forget about forced military service, but it's like jury duty. You get summoned to go serve as a legislator for your state. You do it for 2 years. You don't pay taxes while you do it. You get to stash a little bit of acorn away. You're not allowed to trade stocks while you're in there. And at the end of the day, and then you have to go back and live in the America that you made laws for very quickly. And you could fix government with that simple change. You could fix government overnight.
Are you not allowed to trade stock right now? I mean, I know they
No,
do.
you
but-
totally are. It's why
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi is the greatest stock trader in the history of time.
Oh, so it is legal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, they can do insider trading. We cannot, and they're never going to change that because you're asking corrupt people to fix corruption. It's never going to happen, and that's why what Josh is saying is great. I just don't know how we will ever get these people to vote against their own, and it's so
Yeah,
crazy
you can't.
because
It's called war. That's the only way.
Yeah.
everywhere on a state and local level, there's term limits in federal, and you get why dude, these scumbags set up these fucking lizards can stay there the whole time. They
Yeah.
never have to leave, and that's
Yeah,
why
like
Nancy
nobody-
Pelosi.
Yeah, nobody should know Nancy Pelosi's name. If government was functioning the way it was, you should never. You should be like House of Representatives. 10 of my fucking friends have been on the House of Representatives over the last 30 years. Like that's how it should be.
I
Like-
totally agree, dude.
And if you had that one, and by the way, if you end up in the House and you go, wow, I think I got a knack for this. People like you. You're a good negotiator. You're a good legislator. Then you run for the Senate. Then
Well,
you run
fuck.
for president.
Nancy Pelosi's actually the cover of my album, so I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. My special is just Pelosi's tits.
Well, I'll
so
tell you
I'm
what,
fucked.
it's going to make money. It's going to make money because nothing she's ever done has not made money.
That's
yeah,
right.
I mean, and those tits are like brand new. They
Dude, if
took
you
like
don't-
they took a 1920s car and put a brand new fucking Ferrari engine in there.
Yeah,
Look at
she
those
took-
tits.
She took whatever is in the IV that goes to Jennifer Connelly's face and put it directly into her titties.
It's unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable.
That's
So
one of the things that gets me agreeing with people who are saying women shouldn't have the right to vote is because if you really like pin a woman down on her beliefs, it always boils down to whatever works for me whenever I want it. Like that's why you'll never get a woman to most of the pro-life women will definitively say this is when I think it is or it isn't a life. This is when I think is any pro-choice woman. Ultimately, the answer is whenever the fuck I feel like it, whenever I say so. And it's like you
well,
can't
it also
run a society that way.
100%. You can't run anything that way.
Yeah.
There's except for what? A family. And like people can get quiet on that, but it's like when you start getting women in there, especially as they get older and they don't have children, they start spreading that motherly instincts onto everything. And they try to make everything fair. And I saw a meme and I tried to find it again, but it was basically like a post on Reddit which stated why women in politics isn't good because they vote for safety, right? Like they're always thinking about their safety and the safety of others because they're physically smaller, right? So they have a different view of how to vote for stuff that maybe isn't the correct way to look at things. And
yeah,
it's like,
that's a great point. Like they have a biological fallacy to vote for principles.
yes,
Mm.
Like
Yeah, I mean, the sad
they have a
fact is
survival
that-
imperative.
A sad fact is the majority of American females are gonna vote for an American female because she's female, not for any other reason. As where you and I would vote for somebody based on not because they're a man, but simply because I agree with what they're saying or what their plans are doing. But I think, unfortunately, a majority of females would vote for a female simply because she's female.
I mean, I would vote for Tulsi Gabbard tomorrow if she was running. She's a veteran. I think she's very level-headed. I think she's thoughtful. And the minute it's funny, like as a guy who's supposed to be on the right, the minute I say that, people are like, she's a gun grabber, dude. She's fucking, and it's just like, again, I would rather have somebody measured and level-headed who actually believes they have to explain themselves to the American people when they make a decision, rather than one of these fucking dinosaurs who's just like, well, whatever I
Yeah.
say.
I mean, I'd vote for a female in a second if it was the right person.
Most men would. I mean, that's what women don't understand. They keep going like, you don't understand how hard it is to be in a woman inside. I'm like, what? Explain it to me, because every time I had a female boss, all I heard her say, I have to be twice as hard on you guys so you respect me. Go, listen, we're at work. We just want to come work and go the fuck home. If you make our life easy and let us just work, we'll love you. We don't care.
We're all making money and you're not up our ass about it. Fucking great.
I don't respect you.
Dude, my mother homeschooled all of us 4 children and had a fucking full-time job. Like, I'd vote for her in a second. But women like that are not running. It's the women like, it's the women that you were talking about. Like, you know how hard we have it? Like, yeah, I do. Look at my mother. I fucking know how hard they have it. I mean, you don't have it that hard.
Just go back to the hot Tui chick. The hot Tui chick, who I actually like as a person. If you actually listen to her talk, she's actually kind of cool. But I mean, like, dude, she literally just is like creating a like 6 to 7 figure empire just talking about one time spitting on a dick.
Well, can we get into some real juicy shit? Because I think that she's a side op.
Psyop?
Yeah.
No, she's a side op. She's an op on the side from your main op.
Yeah, like a side bitch, but it's an op. No, I think that it was a distraction. I think she's a paid actor.
And so I always ask,
she is now.
What is the thing the narrative they're trying to push, or what are they trying to capture in your opinion?
Well, she blew up the week of Biden's downfall after the debate. It was like the debate, the next morning she was on everybody's Instagram.
Yeah, but
it was the next morning.
Her thing happened like a week before that. Carl was telling me about this bitch like 3 weeks ago.
I mean, I didn't see her as popular.
Listen,
as
I'm not against what you're saying, but I because I do believe there are quick rise psyop people, and you're like, what is this? Where did this come from?
It's all the bread and circuses thing. It's just that I don't disagree that it's a distraction. I just don't think it's any more thoughtful a distraction than everything else, right? Like,
I mean, it could have been recorded before, but I mean, they can decide what they want to push and maybe approach her later.
Like that chick on ESPN, McNutt, she's a psyop. Like, her whole thing is just to go in there and cause gender and race wars on ESPN. That's her thing. Like, she's yelling at people about the WNBA. I could see that for sure. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, dude. I think, you get into like literally, like, I'm not going to say the name of the guy, but, I did stand up in Hollywood. And I thought I was just watching every comic go up there and struggle. And I just went up on stage. I had a great set. And this one comic came up to me and he goes, dude, I just want you to know you're fucking crazy. You're crazy. And I've had political discussions with this guy before, so I don't know if he was saying, dude, you just didn't give a fuck and went up there, or like my politics is crazy. And I can't, I'm at a place where I just let it. I can't tell you how many people at the Comedy Store look at me like I'm the outbreak monkey and run away from me because of my political views, even though every time they've said something on Twitter politically, they've been completely wrong every time. Like, nobody's keeping score here except for me, okay? Because I'm batting 1,000 and they're batting nothing. But this guy is from a time where if we were really going to have a discussion about, he's a hardcore left guy, and I would just tell you that, this guy's like political views are calcified from another time that doesn't exist anymore, where we had the liberal versus conservative, and like the lines were very well drawn and you knew exactly where you stood. And the liberals were seen as the good guys, the liberators, and the conservatives were the oppressors. Well, those days are dead because we have a uniparty running everything now. And even if you go back to the liberal movement, it's all a government psyop. It's the whole feminist movement, the cultural Marxism, the Civil War, the civil rights movement, all completely Fed driven by feds. They're all feds at every single moment, whether it's Operation Long Leash, whether it is the Laurel Canyon, whether is Martin Luther King. I mean, it's just all of them were feds. They were all feds, and you're pushing a Fed narrative, and you're holding on to it. The Grateful Dead, feds. Gangster rap, feds. I mean, it's all just controlled. The whole thing you think you're fighting the man, but you're pushing his narrative all the time. The real free thinking is like, let me judge, like Josh said earlier, let me judge each person individually.
Mm.
And you start going deeper and deeper into this shit. It's like Jew world order. It's like Zionism. There's more Christian Zionists than there are Jewish Zionists. And it's all Abrahamic apocalyptic prophecies. And like someone showed me, if I knew how to do it, I would show you this. I don't know how to do it on Zoom right now, but it is this pyramid of power. And like the second highest is the bankers, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, all that. And then above that is the central bankers. And that to me is Babylonian magicians that come from Sumerian times, way before any of the Abrahamic religions were around. These are the 13 families running shit from way. So you have the Jesuits, you have the Zionists, you have the Freemasons, you have all these like secret societies and all these, they're just all middle management, man.
Well, yeah. Did you see that clip of Jimmy Carr on Segura's podcast where he talked, like they were talking about the death of the American Empire, and they go, well, all empires fall. And he goes, no, they don't. The Roman Empire became a church. The British Empire became a bank. And it's like, these things don't go away. They just evolve and rebrand.
Yeah. And what we're going to rebrand into? The military industrial complex. And it's so interesting you bring that up, because if you take a look at the three sovereign nations, the three sovereign territories that are part of no government, it is the Vatican, the City of London, and Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And the Vatican is religion. The City of London is banking. And the last one will be
guns.
Guns and what? Weapons.
Yeah.
And that will be Washington, D.C. And that's why that's when you talk about distracting us, Agostino. That's what they're distracting us from, is that our military has become stormtroopers for the fucking Bank of England, the Vatican, I'm getting in fights with these Hitler dick riders. And I'm just like, tell me why Hitler didn't go to Switzerland. Tell me why he didn't go into Switzerland. Oh, they had mountains. The mountains were too high. They had really high mountains. I'm like,
that's how they talk.
Yeah. They didn't want to go into the mountains. You're like, but they went into Russia in September with winter right around the corner, which is a suicide mission. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, Hitler had UFOs, but he couldn't fly over mountains. Boy, they only go up about 300 feet, dog. We can't get them up that high.
Unbelievable, bro. You're so fucking right, dude. You're so right, dude. It's so crazy to me. And the reason he didn't go into Switzerland is because he was funded by the bankers. You can study it. It's right there. The bank that's there is called the Bank of International Settlements. And that bank was simply created to extract reparations from Germany for World War I. They were given 25% of their export money to this bank, 25%. And all this was, and here where I could lose some people, all of this was done to allow the conditions for Hitler, who was controlled opposition, just like all of them. What these Hitler dick riders want to tell you, that this guy was like no other leader ever and ever, which they're all controlled. I mean, the black pill people will tell you, oh, selected, not elected, except for Hitler. And they'll also say, oh, the Holocaust never happened, but he hated the Jews. I mean, it's just like pick a fucking lane, dog. Okay.
I like Candace Owens' thing now that she's like, I'll just skip over the Holocaust didn't happen thing and go right to the retaliation against the Germans was way worse. What I love is that it's kind of funny, and I'll tell myself a little bit with this, but like, you know, Sam, you're aware that like I spent some time around Kanye
In
last
prison
year.
with men.
No, I wish it'd be the most peace and quiet I've ever had. No, but I spent a little time talking with Kanye last year, and Candace was the one who put us in touch. And I talked to him for about 2-3 months, like right up until that Alex Jones thing. And then the day that happened was like the last day I spoke to him. And then he like went off the grid, changed his number, and then you know, got married and did a bunch of other shit. But it wasn't until I talked to him for like 2 weeks straight where I was like, oh, I see why him and Candace get along, is because they're both like dumb people's idea of brilliant people, right? And so like Candace is like was like probably the dumbest girl at her school in Connecticut or whatever, and then like met other black people and they're like, wow, you're really smart. And then they're like, you know what I mean? And she's like, I am really smart, aren't I? And then just goes out into the public space and just like the thing that killed her for me was when she was trying to argue about like climate change with Joe Rogan, and she's like, it's completely fake. And rather than make like a cogent argument about the weaponization of the concept of climate change is fake and that we're using it to raise money and redirect funds or whatever, she literally was like, human beings have no effect on the planet. And I was like, okay, you're retarded. If I shit in your river water, you can't drink it.
Yeah, that's pollution.
So, like that,
pollution.
Pollution is a real thing. Like,
yes.
You can't, so, and she was trying to argue, like, I don't believe in any of it. And I was like, okay, now you sound fucking retarded. And there are several times in my 2 or 3 month conversation with Ye where I'm like, you're brilliant in so many ways, but also in many ways, you're fucking retarded. And let me explain to you why we can't open a warehouse of 100,000 square feet tomorrow morning. Like, it just does. They're just things that time and space prohibit. And the laws of physics will not allow us to do. It's not about willpower. You can't willpower a physical thing the size of fucking a football field to exist tomorrow where it doesn't exist today, unless you have fucking X-Men abilities.
No, I'm with you on that, dude. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
But my takeaway from that was like, Jesus Christ, the only thing keeping me from doing what this fucking retard is doing is self-belief.
Well, I mean, that's a big thing. Like, manifestation can actually be done by stupid and evil. You know, like they can will it to happen. I would tell you that's Carlos Mencia, right? Like, he's stupid and evil. And
and also he was like right place, right time, because they were like, how do we replace Chappelle with somebody who has an even larger potential fan base? And it was like it was sort of like now how all the redheads and everything are getting replaced by black actors in cartoons. It was like, oh, the only thing we could do better that's more subversive than a black comic that's, you know, counterculture is a Mexican one. And, you know, and then
but you also get into this, Josh, is like they're very specific on who they pick. And they pick somebody that they know causes chaos. They always like, and this is where I like, maybe I and probably not in this show, possibly one of you guys might not agree, but dude, this is an occult realm and it's ran by occultists, and they love to promote the inversion, which is bad people. Like, they love to promote assholes. They love to promote people that cause anxiety to people. They love to promote people that people go, why did that guy make it? He's an asshole, because it causes chaos.
I also can tell you, I think there's a lot of fire to the whole like sexual blackmail shit.
Oh, 100%.
So like, do you remember it was like probably like 3-4 months ago, there was like this story came out. I can't remember who said it, but they were like, I was in a meeting with Matt Rife, and the producer asked us both to suck his dick, and I left and he stayed. Which was a crazy story. But what I would say is I I know when I look at a man, if he's compromised himself sexually for his career, I could see it in his eyes. I've never seen it in Matt Rife's eyes. When I've talked to him, when I've seen him places, I see it in Carlos's eyes. I see that beaten, molested into success sadness in his eyes, and I see it in other people's eyes. So it's like I definitely see, and it's funny because like my girlfriend and I will watch like reality TV, or we'll watch interviews, and she has like a sixth sense where we'll be like 5 seconds into an interview with somebody, she's like, this dude was molested, wait for it. And I swear to God, it's like, you know, some people have like incredible gaydar. She has like sexual trauma radar. And literally, you'll be like 90 minutes into this thing, and the dude will be like, that's when I was molested. And she's like, I don't even know why we watch this shit anymore. I'll just tell you. I'll just look at somebody and tell you. So, like, of all the comics and celebrities who committed suicide, she'll tell you which ones were gay and which ones weren't. And she's almost always right. And it is like, and she pointed out to me, she's like, there's just like this genuine lost sadness in the way that they look. Like, it's almost like when you catch a kid breaking a rule. You ever see that freeze that they do where they're just like, oh no, I don't know what's going to happen to me. These people walk around in that state all the time. And I always felt that way with Carlos of like, you know, you did not get this on the merit of your abilities. Like there's something that happened that, you know, where it's like, you made a deal with the devil, dude. It's all over your face.
100% made a deal.
I also
with the
see
devil.
it when I watch the On the Spectrum reality show. You could just see it in their eyes.
The
Just fucking
autism
around.
or the sexual abuse?
Both. Just fucking around.
Well, there is something very weird about all these like pedo hunters catching like people that are so obviously on the spectrum. Like they're so obviously, they have no social skills whatsoever.
Well, is it just preying on the weak? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just saying that, listen, dude, if somebody molests a child, they should be strung up in central scare.
Drawn and quartered.
Right in the middle of the fucking Central Park. There should just be a monument to dead pedos. Okay?
That's how I know. That's how I know that you want to talk about conspiracies. That's how I know in that Nickelodeon thing that the story that what's his name told, Drake Bell.
Yeah.
The story he told isn't the full story.
What do you think?
I think he was in a gay relationship with the guy. I think he got caught by his girlfriend's mother, and she was like, well, you're a child. You can't be in a consensual relationship with an adult man. Let me call the police. And he was like, yeah, you know, he's been fucking me. And they're like, yeah, but have you been fucking him back? And he's like, well, you know, she says I can't because I'm a child. Like, you know, when you look at the story, the father was like, don't go over there for your birthday. I don't trust him. And he's like, I'm going over for my birthday. And then kept going back and kept going back and kept going back. And then all of a sudden you're a victim. And I could see it in his eyes that he was lying through his teeth. Like when the girl goes, what kind of things happen? And he goes, just picture the worst things you could imagine. And that's what happened. And it's like, you're a fucking liar. You were in a gay relationship with an older guy. Your girlfriend, you know, your girlfriend's mom was my girlfriend apparently and sniffed it out on you. And then,
but isn't that
like,
what he's
I'm
saying happened?
No, he's not. He at no point did he say he was in a consensual gay relationship with this older guy because he knows how fucking insane that would sound. Look what they did to.
But doesn't it kind of go without saying, like he was going back? Like it's not consensual.
Yes,
but it's consensual. It kind of is what he's saying.
This is what they killed Milo for, because Milo was like, listen, some 15-year-old boys are out trying to get fucked by older men because there is no adolescence for gay men who are in the closet. So they find these older guys in the church or in Boy Scouts or whatever, and they're gonna have inappropriate relationships because there is no sort of like, if you think of like, what's the gay?
But don't you think though? Let's just say they're not on the spectrum. Let's just say these are normal functioning men.
Yes.
Shouldn't they have the sense to be like, okay, you're 15, I can't do this. Like that guy. That Josh Rosen, I think is his name. He's the giant Jew that just hunts down all these pedos. And he met with a Democratic, like a head in Maryland, like this Democratic leader who's head of the LGBTQ. And like, he knew like the guy that he thought he was talking to, he thought he was underage. And he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm going to rape you, faggot. He kept saying that over and over again. That guy, even if let's say that turned out to be that kid that was a real kid. That wasn't a 6'4" Jew, right? Was a real kid. Shouldn't that guy know that he should not be doing that with that kid?
Well, that's what
and
I'm going to go back to.
I think
what
it is
Josh
the old,
was saying.
I think it's the old story of like the hurt people. So I think their rationalization is, well, this happened to me when I was a gay 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Well,
The guy should be the guy should still be strung up, right? Even if
Yes,
the 15-year-old's like, I want
You don't,
it.
you don't
like-
do it. You don't do it.
I'm not going to like disagree with Josh, but I am disagreeing with Josh a little bit in this with the whole Drake and Josh guy. Is that like in any circumstances, it may be very well true that the kid just kept going back and he was in a gay relationship with an older man. That very well may be true, but either way, when it's an adult and a minor, I always blame the adult.
Yes, we kill that.
Whether
I'm not saying blame the kid. I'm
but I think
dishonest.
that is what he's saying. I don't think he's being dishonest. I think he is saying like I was having sex with this guy, but if when it's an adult and a minor, it's manipulation. Like when he was a minor, he may have been manipulated into being gay in a gay relationship when he was too young to even have a choice in it. Like he's being manipulated. So I don't know if he's necessarily lying. I think that he's just saying like, yeah, I did sexual stuff with the guy. But in any time where you're older or a person in power and you control somebody's career, I think that it is an abuse of power. And as an adult,
but that guy
should have known better.
But that guy didn't control his career. That guy was like a fucking PA.
Yeah, he was a voiceover actor, right?
Yeah,
he a voiceover coach. He was a voiceover coach.
Drake was a way bigger star on that show than this fucking guy.
He was just like a coach, I think. Like
and they
set
the whole
coach.
Yeah, they set the whole documentary up to be like, it was Dan Schneider, and I think he's got a case because they basically took an unattractive fat guy, and I don't know, Sam, if you saw Ibarra riff this bit, he refuses to do it in like main rooms because he doesn't want to be like blacklisted. But he had this great take when that happened. He's like, the guy's just an unfortunate looking fat dude. Like, if you watch the doc, he didn't do anything. Like, every else did stuff.
Well,
and he's just an ugly dude who's
that's
fat.
the whole argument.
Like, he's a pedophile.
That's the whole argument about Woody Allen. Like, if you actually study if you actually take a look at the what is going, you can never go on a super big show and say this because the world will come down on you. But if you actually study the Woody Allen case, it makes no fucking sense. The biggest psyop starts when they show you a picture with him, a little Asian girl. That's not Soon Lee. That's a different Asian girl. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's not even this. And like, when you think about the big story, the big molesting story, right?
Oh, that if you watch that doc, I watched that doc and I was like, this whole thing is fucking bullshit.
Yeah. I mean,
like she can't keep her story straight to this day.
And I'm not even saying that maybe she believes it happened because
I 100% believe she believes. I 100% believe she believes it.
Because like they're telling you that this guy who's, Woody Allen says it. So I'm going into enemy territory, right, for this holiday function, and I'm going to go upstairs and molest a child while everyone's there.
Right.
Does that make any sense? Even if you say they left for a short time, there's still adults there, or the fear of adults showing up. Could happen at any moment, and you're going to just molest somebody at that moment. It just
even though like you could argue about the nature of his relationship with his current wife, like I know like you'll get crucified for saying this, but it's like it is possible to believe that the girl they adopted and then was like almost like a caretaker for their family as a teenager. He and her bonded over how fucking crazy his ex-wife was. You know what I mean? Like, it's no different than another guy marrying his nanny. And then, but what's wild is this idea that you're supposed to believe he's this predatory sex guy. He's been married to her now for what, 40 fucking years?
And no one else has come forward.
Yes. And so that's the thing is like, it's not even close to like a Weinstein situation.
And
at one point he was the most powerful director in Hollywood.
Yep. And then the ex, what's her name?
Mia Farrow.
Yeah. She's had 3 of her kids unlive themselves, and his kids love him.
Yeah.
Like his kids they love him. Now, I'm not saying Woody Allen's perfect, but it's like we're really falling for how he looks fits the story of Woody Allen.
100%.
Well, you know what's gross is the trend of all the documentaries. Like the people who are not allowing us to have free speech about attacking the evils that be are now realizing, well, these get numbers though. People want to watch this shit though.
Yep.
And those same people who endure it are like, let's just make a documentary about it since they love it so much, and they're making money on it. It's so popular now, and that some of them, I'm like, this isn't even a good documentary, and a lot of it has there's no merit. I thought the Nickelodeon one was pretty good. I just started the like Backstreet Boys one, and it's garbage. Like it's a really poorly made documentary, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but like the witnesses in it are the whole time just like, you're full of shit. That dude would never have fucking touched you. Like it's kind of sad that I've stoop that low, but it's real. Like they're just like, oh, let's just make money on these now,
Yeah, you can
Well,
sniff it out. You can kind of sniff it out now.
There
Oh,
is
yeah.
just this whole thing in Hollywood with like, it's like I have daughters. Do I want my daughters to have to go through the meat grinder to work in Hollywood? Well, I hope they never act in their life. I pray if I do my job right, they won't need that kind of validation to go try to make it in Hollywood. But we have this mechanism of that this notion that a guy who has the ability to give people their dreams, people, he's like, hey, who's going to take care of me? And the notion that these people want to cut the line or get favoritism, gave up ass, suddenly they're like victims. It's like unbelievable to me. And it just doesn't fit the role. Now there's that Mia Serrano, whatever her name was, like
Corvino?
yeah, she got ran out of Hollywood. Yeah, that's fucking wrong. That's why he's in jail, right? Because he's a piece of shit like that. But the way that these women have played this game where they're victims of circumstance, when they're just like, they're all sharks. There's so many of these people are sharks in this town that will do anything to get in ahead. And then when it doesn't go the exact way they wanted, suddenly they're victims. It's like the women who are porn stars and prostitutes suddenly are like, oh, I'm getting human trafficked. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
you just picked the easy way out.
Isn't it funny how that story never comes up until they're 40 and the numbers dip?
Right. 100%.
They can't transition into the MILF domain successfully. And then, all of a sudden I was a victim. Who's the one that's like, oh, the one that I love to death of like watching, you talk about like watching car crashes of public figures, is Mia Khalifa. Where it's like, I remember when she went into trying to be a sportscaster like 10 years ago, and she would brag about, because she did porn, how many like pro athletes and celebrities and stuff would jump in her DMs, and she would like put dudes on blast and share screenshots and stuff. And now she's doing podcasts where she's crying like, I never wanted to do it in the first place. And it's like,
it's so
that's
annoying.
Funny. Can we go back and look at the interview where you were like, yeah, they put $10,000 in my hand, and I was like, I'll fuck as many black guys as you got. Where are they?
So let's get into let's get into the final, like the rest of 2024. What are your thoughts are going to happen in 2024? I think it's about to get nuts, dude. I think at the end of August, everything you're worried about is about to happen.
I thought this today. I thought, what if? So I think we all agree that the Democrats set this up for Biden on purpose. Like
I agree with that.
They rolled him out there. I don't think we're right about why. And I think everyone's like, well, they did it so they could pull the switcheroo. They did it. It's like, and I had this thought today of like, what if that's not it? What if the idea is that we're going to go out and we're going to knock him down so that we can make him look like a comeback story, so that when we steal it again, it looks like the American people are rallying behind this guy who just won't quit and won't stop fighting for America and won't die and won't go away. The other thing that I think could happen is if they realize that nothing they do is going to allow them to steal it or cheat this time, then I don't think we're going to have an election. And I think that's why we're keeping the burners on with the Ukraine and with the Middle East,
I
so that we
totally
could go to
agree.
war. We could go to war and go, we can't have an election. We're at war.
I think it gets even darker than that, dude.
I think I think that war starts with a Pearl Harbor 9/11 type false flag on American soil.
Here's the issue with that is like America is a lot more savvy than 9/11. And I think people now automatically go, oh, our government did it. Our CIA did it. The FBI did it. Like this Patriot Front that keeps
I was just
marching
going to
around.
say that, but they'll believe that one. They'll believe that we would attack ourselves, right? Like the only people that believe Patriot Front are feds are people on the right. The people on the left believe that they are the same as the Proud Boys, and they're both militant arms of the right wing. When in reality, the Proud Boys are the fucking modern day version of the Elks Club, a bunch of drunk,
but they were infiltrated by the feds. It's in court documents, which again gets into this thing that everything is an intelligence trick at this point.
Yeah.
And
but I think I don't think the majority of people would not fall for a sort of Patriot Front like assault, like another kind of January 6th type thing that's operated by one of these groups. Like what's interesting is when you look at that footage, right, of them marching from yesterday or this morning,
choreography on point, right?
And isn't it really well shot? Like it's almost
so well shot.
It's almost like they've got a budget.
Yeah.
And nobody's getting in their way. There's no Antifa there counter protesting them, right?
Right.
It's just it's almost like a government propaganda demonstration. It reminds me of when Nazis marched down the street in Germany. The reason nobody opposed them was because they were supposed to be there. Right. And so, that's when you look at Patriot Front and you see them running into no opposition in the streets when they're like when the Proud Boys would do gatherings, they would be met with opposition immediately. Like immediately there would be Antifa there fighting them, people throwing shit, people fucking grabbing their flags away. You didn't see none of that with Patriot Front. They were police escorted. They had fucking and what are we supposed to believe? We just had the proper permits. Like I saw that dude on Patrick Bet David's podcast, the guy who is the leader of Patriot Front.
Yeah.
I've never been more confident a dude is like straight out of Central Casting in my entire life.
Dude, 100%. 100%. And they just think we're all stupid now. And we just know all the tricks. So yeah, I mean, something big could happen to shock the country for sure. And personally, I think they're trying their hardest to ramp up World War III. I would love to, get your guys' opinion. I know that Josh, you may not be as much into the Zionists can go fuck themselves as I am. With the new thing that just came out by the Israeli military that the, mass Hannibal directive was in fact, initiated and enacted, and they just killed everybody at October 7th. Their goal was just to leave no survivors. And personally, I think it's just to get a number so high to shock everybody to have sympathy for Israel. And I'm just sorry, dude. Like, Josh is somebody, and again, I don't know your opinion on this, but as somebody who's so free speech, I would love to know what your take is on all these anti-Semitic laws that are being enacted, not just here, but all over the world, curbing criticism of Jews.
Yeah,
of Zionism.
No, regardless, Jews, Zionism, whatever, I don't think there should be any laws policing speech against any group of people. I think every group of people, and by the way, we have those laws here in America where you're not supposed to criticize black people for their abhorrent cultural behavior throughout society. So I don't see them as different. I see them as the exact same thing. I think if the Jews are behaving in a way collectively that needs to be accounted for, then they need to be accountable for it. And people should be like, I love the phrase of the best way to fight bad ideas is with good ideas. Like if the Jews are unwilling to answer for what people are accusing them for, that causes and raises more suspicion. Come to the table and go, yeah, it's not what you think, and here's the proof, and here's why, and have the conversation. But what I think lends credibility, so much credibility to anti-Semitic rhetoric, is when you see like that rabbi interview with Candace Owens, where the minute she'll like ask a question, he's like, "Oh my God, this is anti-Semitism. I won't even
With
engage with
his
it. I won't." And it's
really
like,
weird skin, like,
yeah,
and
and it's
is
just like,
not full
hey,
beard.
dude,
Like, what is that? Did you glue that on your face?
imagine. And by the way,
Shmuley?
black people will do this too, where you're just like, "Hey, man, why is so much violent crime in America perpetrated by black people? Like, even in environments where all these other things that you say are contributing factors are removed. It's like across all socioeconomic levels. It's across all states. It's like a universal thing, and we're just not supposed to talk about it." So I think, like, again, you're not going to fix racism in America until black people are willing to come to the table and go, "Yeah, we are fucking up, and let's all have a conversation about why and how to fix it." I think that starts with them being willing to acknowledge it. It's a real thing.
This is a dark. Okay, but
And
this
then
is
and then
go
same
on,
thing with
sorry.
and same thing with no, same thing with Jews. It's like, if you're unwilling to answer the accusations or have conversations, then all you're doing is lending credibility to the sentiment of anti-Semitism. Like, if there's nothing there, expose it. Like, the best disinfectant is sunlight. If there's nothing there, you show us. And that's where I think Jews go wrong. That's where I think black people go wrong, and going like, well, you can't just call people racist and not address what their concerns are. This is how movements start. This is how a guy like Hitler rises to power, right? And as far as like a lot of people are like, "Oh, Denny's like a pure Zionist." I'm really not. I'm just so anti-Islamic that I think I think the ideology, I think the people should be exterminated from the planet.
Jesus,
I mean,
all Muslims?
I mean, I think it's got to go. I think if you look throughout history, it's given nothing but war and violence to humanity. And I think if you look crusades, I think if you look at what the ideology did in the Islamic revolution, when you look at things like Cinema Rex, and of course I can't be unbiased about this because I live with a person whose parents had to flee their homeland through persecution from their own people, from Iranian Muslims. And so when I look at this thing, there is no redeeming thing for Muslims for me. And so that's why I just look back and I go, I don't give a shit what the Jews do in retaliation. I'm tired of half measures against radical Islam.
But
like,
what about radical Zionism?
I haven't seen a whole lot of videos of guys in yarmulkes holding severed heads.
Yeah, but that becomes presentation, dude. If you kind of like study,
So
like,
Jews don't know how to use YouTube,
well,
but Hamas
no,
does.
because that's the presentation, dude. You know, it's like you can study like the Bolshevik War was like they killed 10 million Russians, and
Sure.
they were Zionist Jews.
Yeah, like
Sure.
we all know how to use YouTube, but certain things we put up gets taken down.
Yeah. So it's a narrative that gets pushed. Now, I'm not saying that I push back against Sharia law, but I also know when you bring up Iran and we start talking about extremists, we went in there and murdered their moderate leaders, and like we took them out. We installed insane human beings. Like, I'm not telling you that, like,
Yeah, but the Shah was America's ally, and like, and Iran,
but that's not
Iran
necessarily
was
a good thing.
But it was a good thing because Iran essentially would have replaced what now is our relationship with Japan in terms of technology, STEM, science, and everything. If you look at Iran pre-revolution, it looks like the fucking Jetsons,
buddy.
It's
Let's
westernized,
play a little
it's
game.
scientifically developed.
Okay, this is where we're gonna have a little disagreement on it. Name me a country that you think has attacked America. I will tell you, we've been attacked at minimum 3 times by Israel. The USS Liberty, the JFK assassination, and 9/11. Those are basically proven facts.
Okay, yeah, the last two I don't know if I see it.
Well, we could get into it. You study Meyer Lansky and his running of the crime syndicate. He was a Zionist, and JFK wanted to investigate Israel's nuclear plants, and he wanted to make AIPAC register as a foreign lobbyist group. They took him the fuck right out, dog. Now, not just him, CIA. What?
And they killed his brother too.
That's a little different. That has more to do with CIA, but I'm open-minded to. And then 9/11 is just, Netanyahu just straight up talks about how it was belly good.
Have you ever read the book So I Hear You Paint Houses? The movie The Irishman was based on it.
Okay, tell me about it.
Well, it's the deathbed accounting of Frank Sheeran, who is supposedly the guy who murdered Jimmy Hoffa. And in the book, they didn't get into it in the film, but in the book, he goes into great detail about how JFK was murdered and who did it. And it's contrary to your story. So I'm not saying that both things couldn't be.
I would gladly debate anybody that wants to sit there and talk about all of the people that came together to assassinate JFK. I mean, the Kennedys had a history of fighting Israelis, Zionists, making deals with them, then backing out on those
but
deals.
They also were at hardcore war with organized crime and Italian Catholics, who they very much.
But do you know who they called the mob accountant? Meyer Lansky. He was a Jewish Zionist, and he was a Jewish crime boss, and his connection to everything. And then they just basically made what's his face a patsy. So I mean, I would just tell you, dude, that it's like we there's a lot that we have been taught that isn't true. And I would tell you that Islamic jihadists, you could study like ISIS. I mean, it's fully on well documented that Obama, McCain, and Hillary created ISIS. ISIS apologized when they accidentally.
Yeah, but this is all 40 years pre-ISIS, what I'm talking about.
No, but I'm talking about the history of everything. The history of Al Qaeda, the West created them. The history of ISIS, the history of Hamas, they're all created by the West.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't Jews that locked people into the theater during Cinema Rex.
What do you mean?
The Cinema Rex fire, if you look it up in 1979 or whatever, it wasn't Jews that locked their own citizens into a fucking movie theater and set it on fire to start the revolution. They made it look like like the government executed their own people and murdered their own people like you talk about false flags of all false flags. It was an Islamic false flag to justify engaging in war with the sitting government over there. I mean, it was their 9/11.
I have zero problems with that, but I would tell you, if I dig deeper, there's more to it, but I will take what you're saying at face value. Okay. 9/11, 3,000 Americans died. The Israeli dancing art students lined that fucking thing with bombs. Okay. They attacked the USS Liberty. These are facts, dude. I mean, like, we could sit there forever. I could tell you Putin was installed by the Clintons because Yeltsin had to get permission from the Clintons.
My opinion in no way is about exonerating Israel.
Okay. I'm with you, but
right.
I'm with
that's my point. Is that, like, I'm not saying that Israel is not guilty of any of the things you're saying that they're guilty of.
Yes.
I'm just telling you that I look at the ideology throughout all history, going back to Alexander the Great times, right? It has been the enemy of Western ideology since its inception throughout all of recorded human history.
Right.
It's gotta go.
Right.
Now that we're not saying that Zionism should replace it or that Zionism is better.
So if I go, listen, just hear me out. And then we can move on from this subject. If I go, Islamic jihadists who want Sharia law are a danger to Western values, most people go, yeah, totally, 100%. If I go Christian extremists, and we could have a real debate about that and what that really is, but let's just say it, Christian extremists are a danger to certain demographics of America because they want to control them through Christ. Most people, maybe outside this conversation right here, a lot of people go, yes, 100%. But if I go Talmud Zionist, look at everybody but Jews as cattle, okay, most people call me anti-Semitic because this is the brainwashing that's happened over time. And if you study actually the Talmud and what is in the Talmud, you would be shocked. So that's all I'm saying.
I've read it. I just don't see it in practice. Like,
dude, I would totally disagree with you.
hold on, but let me
Let's
explain.
just go through the
Let me-
pedophilia part.
Yeah, let me just explain what I mean by that. Is I know a lot of Hasidic and Orthodox and very conservative Jews.
Yes.
I don't see the radical practice of those beliefs in the day to day, the way that I see it, and even hear the admonition for it that I hear from Islamists. Like my Islamic friends, right? Like the people I know that are actual practicing Muslims have no criticisms for their own people. Right? They'll just go like, yeah, we don't do that here, but you know, that is what we believe. Whereas, you know, and people will go, well, this is just Jews and their deception. But it's like, I've had real sit down conversations with, you know, like super conservative Jews and talk about these things, these criticisms that are in the Talmud. They don't run from them. They will explain to you how that was part of the thing for a long time. They'll explain to you how it has progressed through time. Like they don't run from it the way that people that don't know about it talk about them running from it.
Okay.
Well, you're a better man than I am because I have 0 Islamic friends. I don't know how you have so many Islamic.
Well, no, it's just
I've never sat down with any of
what I would
No,
tell you is this:
by nature of
there is a okay.
I'm not making fun of him, by the way. I'm
Okay, hold on
being
one
jokey.
second. Hold on one second. So there are certain laws in the Talmud, which if people don't understand what the Talmud, it's the actual name of the Talmud is the Babylonian oral history of the rabbis. When you see something called Babylonian, right there, your red flags bell should be going up. That it has a lot more to do than just Abrahamic religions. Okay. If you're a man of Christ, they have a certain view of Christ. But let's not even get into that. Let's get into certain views they have, let's say, on pedophilia. Then now we're not talking friends of ours walking around. We're talking about the really, really deep Talmud scholars.
Mm-hmm.
That if it is not a sin to, let's say, I'm going to use a kind word, molest a goy under 9 years old. So you can go, well, where is that thing? There is literally a policy that pedophiles in America who are about to get arrested can flee to Israel. It's been proven over and over again. The Hannibal directive in which they kill everybody is they look at non-Jews as cattle. And you could see just how they treat the Palestinians and how they treat basically in these 3 attacks I've talked about. They have no problems. They have no problems with killing. The number almost now in Gaza is almost 200,000 people died. And we're talking most of those people are under 18 years old who weren't even old enough to vote for Hamas 20 years ago. And I could go through the whole thing and go, this is exact. You have Netanyahu literally saying, if he had it his way, Israel would follow Talmud's laws. He literally said it.
Yeah, but the Quran has all the same shit you're talking about.
Yeah, but we openly talk about the Quran that is Islamic jihadists are trouble. Nobody at all talks about Talmud Zionists in any form.
Tons of people are talking about it now.
Now,
Yeah.
like over the last couple years, it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah.
But like we have a real we've committed. I mean, I don't know how you guys see it, but since 9/11, we've committed genocide in the Middle East. Genocide off a false narrative that they flew planes into our buildings. Okay. And that
I don't disagree with.
Okay. So
and that's about a land grab for both heroin and oil.
Perfect. And
Right.
the Greater Israel Project. But that's the whole point is we've committed genocide. Like I used to argue with Brian Callen all the time. He's like, Russia's the worst. I'm like, who's invaded more countries?
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with Russia at all. If I were running the country, I think Russia would end up being our greatest ally. But you know, that would really only happen if America leaned into a more Christian conservative foundation for lawmaking, which will never happen in this country.
Well,
So,
I think people are waking up to it more and more. I think you see more and more people getting religious because they realize the great lie that they were sold by the cultural Marxists, and they're more and more miserable.
Here's what I'll just give you at a 30,000 foot perspective, right? When you talk about marketing and you talk about the evolution of religion, When you look at Mormons, right? They had their big change in the 70s where they're like, listen, we no longer believe that like black people are the angels who lost and are cursed by God. Like, we're just gonna take that out of the book and kind of change our minds so that we can actually get black members and not be a racist hate group. Christianity has done a real good job of fixing in practice. And you see this all the time with Catholicism. The Pope goes, gay is fine. And then the wind blows the other way. And he goes, actually, gay is still a sin. Like, they're very good at recognizing that they need to sell something different. The Jews at least make an effort to hide it. Islam makes no attempt to correct the fuck up that is their ideology. They double down in every instance, right? There's never been a progressive Islamist who's like, maybe we shouldn't marry our first cousins. Like, there is no progressive side of Islam. And it's the same thing I say about black culture in America is like, the only way you could ever fix radical Islam is if there was a progressive Islam that said, all right, well, these things are good, because there are things in the Quran that are good, right? There are things in every religion that are good, and there are things that are horrendous. But there's no recognition from that faith or anyone within it to not only condemn the worst parts of it, but even acknowledge that they're there. You know what I mean? So it's like, when we're talking about bad, worst, absolute worst, they're still the absolute worst. At least the Jews know that they have to hide the horrible shit in their fucking faith.
The devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
Yes, exactly. So
I think it's interesting.
My perspective on Islam is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Right. I think Israel is a useful servant for this holy war. But I think if you go back to even like even the Christian Crusades, right? It's like Islam had an intent to eradicate Christianity and Catholicism from the planet, and that's never stopped.
I understand that, Josh. I would just say that the last 20 years, there's one side has been way worse than the last.
Oh yeah, and listen, I don't disagree that America has not poured a giant fucking,
and I would tell you that the driver of that is Israel. That's my opinion.
Sure,
Zionists,
yeah.
Which include Christian Zionists as well. I mean,
but let's be honest. If you're strategic and you're Israel, right, and you know that you can make America hate Muslims more than you, of course you're going to ring that bell. Right. Of course you're going to ring that bell. You make a lot of money. You make a lot of money in America, Jews. So why would you ever want to go to war with the Christian nation of America when you can talk America into?
But do you get worried, Josh, that we're basically Israel and America is like Master Blaster from Mad Max, where we're just like the big retard and we have this little guy making us fight, and at the end we're the one that dies?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if we're the one that dies. We are the big retard for sure. Like, the scariest thing after the debate, I don't know if anybody else did this, but I watched CNN and I listened to the people calling in. Oh my God. If you think our representatives are bad, you should hear the people that support either of them. Right. I mean, they make them sound like fucking Rhodes Scholars.
Such idiots.
There's like 80-year-old women who are going to show up and vote twice in November who were like, he just doesn't seem presidential. I mean, the Russia thing, and they'll just bring up like everyone goes, America's smart. We've woken up. No, the people that are showing up November, whatever, are not awake. They still believe Russia. They still believe good people on both sides. That's why Biden's playbook, like people are going, wow, he's so demented. He's bringing up things that have been debunked 100 times. It's because they know the actual voter ain't looking into it at all. So yeah, that we are the big dumb retard.
The masses are very stupid.
Yeah, we are the big dumb retard.
They're
and all you
making
gotta
us
do is
too
look at
dumb.
our leaders.
They're making us too dumb to be able to follow how our government works, which is the Federal Reserve is funding everything. And it just basically gets down to kind of what we just talked about, that we're going to evolve into the military industrial complex. That is going to be our empire now. We will be a hired gun for these giant corporations and banking institutes. And we're just going to go in there and fucking kill everybody They can't get anyone to join the military, so they're bringing in all these brown people. They'll join, and then when they get disenfranchised, they're just going to move the robots, and the robots will be the ones that, and we're going to be in this fucking Black Mirror reality.
You should have to pass an IQ test to vote.
That's
Like,
that's
fuck the
why
age limit.
I would
just
love
do
that.
a
It will
pa-
never
pa-
happen.
Yeah,
not an IQ test. How about just a civics test? Like, do
Just
you know who this guy is?
just a certain amount of questions. Like, if you put a sticker on your car of who you're voting for, you already can't vote.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, you already failed. the first test.
100%. 100%.
If you vote by party, if you even chose or identify by a party, you can't
you
vote.
You can't have a democracy if you don't have people intellectually engaged. When it's all emotions, that's when we're all fucked,
Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
just fucked.
I mean, that's why I get kind of quiet when you guys are talking about stuff like that. Is like,
About
I
the
think
Jews.
I think it's a very dangerous game to pick a side in war. And exactly how we opened this podcast, we're ending it with you guys kind of disagreeing with each other, which is what we opened with, is saying they're weaponizing us, which is why I have my views on both things you were saying, but I don't want to talk about it on a podcast because I mean, it's a very pussy, maybe French outlook on it, but I just don't choose a side in war. I remember when I was a
French and
kid.
gay? Are you being French and gay?
I'm being very French and gay. But when I remember when
That's
people
why you guys are getting your ass kicked over there right now.
Oh, dude, they're just
war in
getting
the
their
streets.
ass.
Why
oh,
you say
dude.
you guys? I'm not really French. Like I'm in LA too.
Dude, have you seen that whole
Said it,
thing?
dog. I didn't-
Like,
I didn't-
dude, they were losing, and then somehow out of nowhere, they snatch it from, and everyone's like, "Oh, we just won it on a victory." Oh my god! It's like, bro, they rigged the fuck out of that.
Well, that's why. I mean, that's why Fuentes is going to be president. It's not the Jew shit. It's the isolationism. Like nobody's really leaning it, because the only thing that would save America is an isolationist platform to say that like we're not going to be involved in NATO or anything global ever again. And
I would love that.
And if we did that and started focusing and working on fixing our own country,
I would
we
love
could-
that.
if we did that for 20 years, there would be no more the Middle East hates us, or they would prove me right, and I would believe that the core of the ideology is poisonous and will never go away. And I'm not saying that by the way that the Talmud is different. I don't know enough about it or see it in practice to where I feel that way. I just know the shit that I've been interested in, that I've researched. There really hasn't been a peaceful period in all of Islam's history. And it's the absolute refusal to acknowledge the possibility of another prophet other than Muhammad. Like almost every other religion goes like, yeah, your guy was probably a thing too, but our guy's the best. They're like, there is no other guy. Right? So like,
I'm with you, dude. And you know, there's some real discussion on who Muhammad was and his connections to the British royalty. I mean,
Yes.
dude, Queen Elizabeth bragged about being 11th cousins or anything. This is how crazy. Like when I go Obama's grandpa and George Bush Sr. were 11th cousins. People think that's 1,000 years. Dude, I had third cousins over here. I had third cousins at my house. My cousin's son brought his kids. That's third cousins.
It's pretty easy to do,
It's just what? That's just a 20-year difference.
especially in an Italian family.
Right?
or,
I mean, it's not that long. So
Yeah.
11th is only like 3 grandmas. That's it.
or especially when you fuck your cousin. It's really easy to do.
Dude, yeah. Oh, dude, I saw this video on the internet. This one was introducing her mother as her mother's sister because it got really gross. But yeah, dude. Crazy times. Well, you know, dude, great show, a lot of fun, a lot of disagreeing, a lot of agreeing, a lot of fun. That's how what this show's meant to be.
A lot of staying out of it.
A lot of staying
Yeah, no,
out of it, buddy.
No, but I mean, like, but dude, like, it's funny when I said this the other day, and I really mean it. Like, there are no good or bad ideas, like, because for an idea to become good or bad, it has to be put into action that has positive or negative results. So, like, I think as long as you think like that, like, we can have different ideas about things all the time. And it doesn't bother me. It's like I think that's what these shows should be. Is like, hey, what do you think? This is what I think. This
Well, it's
it
just
might not be the
dangerous,
same
man.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. It's just too dangerous. I remember when like anti-war riots were anti-war riots. Like remember tree hugging hippies were actually marching the streets holding signs said fuck war. And now you've taken tree hugging hippies and they're holding signs choosing a side of
Well, I'm
which
gonna say something,
who they're on.
Agostino.
Yeah.
I feel like Josh, Denny, and I are a little older, and we've made our bed and we're lying in it. And you know, he looks like a Sith Lord right now, with his hoodie
No,
on. But
I got the air blast and I'm just cold because I shaved
no,
my head off in the
it's
heat.
all good, dude. But like we've established our brand. I feel that you kind of want to be able to play to everybody.
No, that's not true. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I'm just playing it safe. I
No,
am
no, I
just
don't.
saying it's
That's
very
not the word,
dangerous
because
to
that
choose a
that comes
side.
off what I'm saying. But you have the ability to reach a lot more people, and Josh and I have made our political views very vocal and public, and that comes with a lot of blessings. When I go on the road, people come to see me, and a lot of people think I'm the Antichrist, especially people in the Hollywood comedy scene.
Yeah.
Have active hatred for me because I treat everybody equally. I don't believe in sacred cows. I don't believe in treating anybody any different than anybody else. And they get really mad at that. It's like the Thomas Swalwell, is that how you say his name?
Soul.
He's like, watch out, watch out giving people preferential treatment that think equality is disrespectful. And it's just the truth. I treat everybody the exact same, and nobody really wants it.
No, I know you do, but I mean, I also know you personally. Like, I know like everything comes like from love, you know, with you. Like, it's nothing personal. But I don't. I mean, I'm not like trying to not choose a side, and
No,
I want
I
to be
got
open
you.
to every. It's not. I'm more trying to stay focused on like, guys, don't let them weaponize us because that's what it all is all about.
But it's also okay to be
Everyone
like,
choose a side and let's fight each other is like totally what like you were saying, man. Like, we could not have an election based on the war. That
Yeah,
could
for sure.
totally be the plan, and we're buying their bullshit by fighting with each other. I'm trying to just let's not lose focus of that's their plan is to weaponize us.
Right.
here's what I'll say about that. I'll say this. If you're genuinely just not curious and don't care, doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother.
That's
Because
not
a lot
what
of
it is
people
with
are
me
like,
either.
no, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But for a lot of people, it is. They're just like, I just don't care enough about it to look into it. It doesn't affect me on a day to day. Like I say this about the trans thing. Like my life has never been so good that I've been able to sit back with a cigar and contemplate if I'm the right gender. Like
Yeah.
I still have to check my bank account when I pay bills.
I love that, dude.
Maybe I'm not even supposed to be a dude. You know, that those
Yeah.
thoughts have never entered into my head, right? So I understand that like contemplation of anything greater than self and your immediate thing is kind of a privilege. Like there is a privilege to being an intellectual in any capacity because it means you're able to get out of survival mode at any point to think about things greater than yourself. I will say though that this government is using that nihilism to run roughshod over the American people. And so that would be my caution, is that we are entering a time for the first time in American history where I believe the price of not pulling yourself out of your life enough to have an opinion is going to become too costly. And by the time everyone realizes that, it's going to be way too late.
That's for sure. You don't want to have a lukewarm attitude about it.
Like,
here's my whole thing, dude. It's like, Josh is somewhat excommunicated from Hollywood. I'm definitely excommunicated from Hollywood. But what I do know is behind closed doors, everybody is saying what we're saying.
Yeah.
And they just don't have the
Mhm.
balls to say it because they still want to make it in a dying altar that's called Hollywood. Hollywood will always have money. The problem is that you're not just going to get it. They're just going to make it so you make less and less money, and you're just going to keep allowing them to do it because you're too chicken shit to say anything. And then they're just going to, like, I can't tell you how many white guys have just bitched about wokeness and then just fully tried to participate in it by giving their ideas to people who are preferred by Hollywood instead of being like, fuck you, I'll make it myself, you pieces of shit. And I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. The only people that think Hollywood comedy is doing well are the people who are getting a couple spots right now. That's it.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks it's doing well. And you listen to these young comics talking about how they're crushing it and how Hollywood comedy is like, dude, they've raised it. No, dude, it is dog shit.
It's bad, man. It's bad, dude.
Here's what I think is interesting. Sam, do you remember I said this to you like a couple weeks ago where I was just like, the thing about us that the people that like us like, and the people that don't like us will never understand is that like we're not like what we do on stage is not this contrived thing of like what do I think will work, like that we are those guys. Like who we are on stage is the same guy we are in the green room, and that's why generally speaking, in every green room you or I are in, no matter the profile or the money or the status of the other people in the green room, eventually people end up listening to us hold court because we have opinions, we're firmly entrenched and confident in what we believe and what we say, and it's inward outward, meaning like there is no filter of like, oh, what do I have to say because so-and-so's in the room, or what do I, like, there is no premeditation of behavior. And there is an undeniable attraction that human beings have to that because it's real. And you know who is not real by who sits back and doesn't fucking say anything in those rooms.
Well, isn't that where
and there are people that are successful because of it, and there are people who are unsuccessful because of it.
Isn't that because we're artists? Like, when did we stop become artists as stand-ups? It's like all those guys who just cater to what the fad is. They stop being artists.
When we started letting
you sticking by your guns, whether I agree with what your guns are, still makes you an artist. And you're never going to turn your back on what you said because it's what you believe. That's what an artist is.
Yeah, but look at the
guy who's
criticism.
going to go change his point of view because it's what's popular right now.
But look at the criticism that we get, right? And Sam, back me up on this if you agree or if you have something to add that's different. Like, nobody criticizes that we're not original thinkers or that we're not entertaining or that we're not funny. What do they say? You're not successful. Right. You don't make any money. So the metrics, these are people who make their decisions on metrics, trying to apply a standard of success to you based on their metrics. And like, I don't give a fuck about money. I just want to have enough to where I don't necessarily have to look at my bank account to buy dinner or whatever. Beyond that, it's all the same to me. But these are people who are trying to apply a degree of measurement that I don't really care about. And so when you go like, when did it stop being that way? Well, it stopped being that way when people lend credibility to those voices. So when they go, well, yeah, that's right. People will literally say this about me. Dude, you had a fucking show on Food Network that was supposed to be a big success. And now you're like, what? Like doing 20 dates a year and working odd jobs and booking other comics to make money? Like, what a failure. And I'm like, these are all things you've never come close to doing in your life. Yeah. How am I a failure for doing any of them?
Yes.
Just because they didn't make me a millionaire, you think that makes me a failure? I tell you, I'm a failure if I quit. And everything up until that point makes me not a failure.
You know what's interesting, Josh, is that what they see as anti-establishment is paradigms and the thinking, how they think, and not their actions. Okay. So it's like when you go, oh, I'm against this and this, and your everything you believe in fits right into the narrative that corporations, politics, politicians, the establishment, the bankers, that everybody wants you to think. You think you're anti-establishment because you think that, but all your actions are conformity. All you do is conform constantly through your act. I know your act as you walk on stage. Your political views are safe for Jimmy Kimmel. That, like, you're not an outlaw, okay? You're a conformist, and there's a race to see who can conform the most. I watch comedy in Hollywood. I know all your acts as you're walking out, and nobody's taking any chances because the shadow in the cave of cancel culture has scared you so much. And the fact that these tech companies just have just applied the censorship of anything outside of this cultural Marxism. So if a woman is a whore on the internet, she gets promoted. If a black person rips on white people, they get promoted. If a female comic talks about her pussy and sex, she gets promoted. As long as you're pushing cultural Marxism talking points, you get promoted. If you go against that, it's my whole theory. It's like, dude, I'm in the diversity more than anybody. I talk shit about everybody equally. You want me to see diversity at gunpoint? I do. I just talk about the funny shit I see, and that upsets you because you just want it to be about sunshine and blue skies, and all these people are just heroes. In reality, a lot of them are retards. And I talk about black retards, Jewish retards, female retards, gay retards, all the
Redundant.
retards. I have a
Female
whole bit
retards,
at the end of
redundant.
my act about how everybody's retarded except for special needs people.
Yeah.
They're the only ones who aren't retarded.
I was at your special taping. That's a great closer.
No, I didn't. I'm not putting out. I needed more work on, so it's going to be in the next special.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was a fire set.
Thank you, buddy. It's finally done. I can't wait you guys to see it. But
Nice, man.
that's what it is, man. I see diversity more than any of you motherfuckers. Not the guys on the show, but the people who push this whole thing about we gotta celebrate our diversity. I do. I celebrate how retarded you are.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like, I'll share this thing of like, Sam, do you ever see this like when you're in a green room with like other comedians and stuff, and you see this like hesitation of like they want to socialize with you and they want to pick your brain or whatever, but they're so concerned about like what other people will think by that engagement that they like you can see the apprehension in the way they move or the way they're hesitant to speak or whatever. It's like a real general like docileness to their energy or whatever. And you just look at that and just go like, wow, man, this is a person who's like never made the hard decision in their life, and so it's like you look at these stories, they go like, how do you stay married to somebody you hate for 30-40 years? And I just go like, yeah, because the world rewards cowardice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yes.
so it goes back to like that anonymity thing is people go, well, like, yeah, but if I'm not a coward, I'll lose my job. I go, yeah, that's why it's called cowardice. It's like there are consequences to bravery. And if there aren't, it's not brave. Right. So like, this idea that like, well, I can't do that because this will happen. And it's like, well, it's never going to change unless you're willing to be the first, like the Moneyball thing, the first one through the wall always gets bloody. And we have to change our mindset to think like meritocracy means that you have to win to be right. It doesn't mean that. Like meritocracy means, I think, being rewarded for what you're doing authentically, whether it's so-called right or not. Like, like I could look at somebody like, I guess I'll say like a Hannah Gadsby, right? And I'll go, it's convenient that she's like the person who will be rewarded in this current climate because what she really thinks is aligned with what the cultural Marxism is that they want to push. But I don't ever doubt for a second that Hannah Gadsby also believes these things, right? It's the people in the middle of the road who seemingly have no horse in the race who also have to have the right opinions about everything and agree with things that have nothing to do with them. Like, nobody ever stops and goes like, hey, why do you think that? And I'll do it all the time. And people just have no answer. And the short answer is because I have to. Or I'm supposed to think that. Like they don't even really think about how they feel about those things at all. And what I find so interesting is the overwhelming joke that I've gotten feedback from the special is I do a joke about how white people believe that the N-word is the worst thing you'd say to black people. And anyone who knows black people know that black men specifically would much more strongly react to being called a faggot than they would ever respond to the N-word. And I've gotten like 6 messages from black dudes going like, yo, that's how you know you actually have black dude friends, because that is the realest shit I've ever heard in my life. And it's so true. Like there will never be a time where black guys take back the word faggot the way white guys do. Like we'll call each other that joking or funny. It will never become fun or funny in black culture. And there's something to that, right? And that understanding that comes from my curiosity about those things of like, hey, I don't really know this about black people, so let me find out with my friend. And this goes back to being a kid of like, hey, why are you guys like this? Or why do you do this? It's being afraid to like look stupid and ask a dumb question to get to the real answer. And so many people are just unafraid to even have that conversational courage to be like, hey, I'm going to ask a dumb question to inform what I know about the world and look stupid, but I'm going to get the truth. And the truth's going to make me a better comedian or a better artist or a better filmmaker. And that's what bothers me the most about it is I look at people like that. And I think the master of like dancing around it is Tim Dillon. But there are so many comics that we know, Sam, that would be killers if they could satiate that curiosity and put it into their act without fear of retribution for, and I just see it as a lack of self-belief. Like you deep down know you're not good enough to do it. Because if it doesn't work, you're fucked.
Yeah. I mean, and also, the mechanism to blow somebody up is so controlled more than ever. Like, dude, the HBO used to have people like Doug Stanhope, Dave Attell, these fucking wild guys come on and be
Yeah.
like, okay, let's see a little crazy. There you go. Enjoy that. Showtime. Dude, YouTube won't allow any of that, dude. They won't allow any of that. And dude, Ryan Sickler got in trouble for a fucking weed thing. His special was cooking to 1 million views and then just stopped at 600,000, and now it's up to 800,000, and it's been pitted. And we would all love to have 800,000 views on our thing. I mean, he's crushing it because he's so funny. But man, and going back to like the only big name podcast that lets me come on the show outside of Adam Carolla is Ryan Sickler. He's the only one that will have me on a show. Nobody else will do it. None of these guys in LA will have me on their show, even though I'm podcasting gold and I spit truth and I always crush it. But they won't have me on because they're afraid.
Well, here's a great example, and I'm not going to name names because it's too many, but like there are a lot of people that consider themselves our peers who think they're like the bad boys of comedy who cut the swear words out of their fucking videos. And it's like, you guys are controlled opposition. Like to sit there and be like, yeah, dude, we're fucking anything goes, but we do have to cut the swear words out or else we'll get taken out of the algorithm. Fuck the algorithm. Do you believe in it or not? Like that's my pushback is like, so these guys who are, and those same guys will look at me and go, dude, you're a fucking idiot for leaving those words in your podcast. No one's ever going to see it. It's like, okay, so where does that end? Cut my dick off so that I can get a special because self-sterilization is in now?
Totally watch Trans Denny. Trans Denny with his fucking mangina, dog. Let's go.
Well, my top surgery is already complete, so I've done that with Big Macs for the last 20 years.
Oh, dude, I've been counting calories. Guys, great episode today. We came, we saw, we laughed, we cried, we screamed, we danced. Agostino, one more time, tell them where they could find you, all of your Dirty Dancing Havana Nights details.
My special is called Gentleman Savage. It's streaming on Movies Plus, which is a cool platform because they're a free speech platform, and some of the stuff I'm talking about probably wouldn't be great anywhere else. So I'm excited about that. It comes out July 25th, and it's on pre-sale right now. And you can buy it for $7.99. The link is on my Instagram at Agostino Zoida, and the link's right there.
And Josh?
Yeah, mine is Goliath. It's out now. Hold on, I got to do this so you can actually see my face. It's out now on YouTube.
Going on with your light. Why is it trying to censor you?
It's if my browser is white or black. My
wow, racist ass flashlight.
I know. It's just the monitor light that
it's a Muslim flashlight.
It is very much so. It's pulling a jihad on my machine. It's funny as I look down, I'm like looking at my Twitter, like my followers, and I'm looking at like 4 of my Muslim friends that are on Twitter who are, Muslim conservatives or whatever, which is, redundant. But anyway, Goliath, it's on X, it's on YouTube, it's on Rumble. Watch it on YouTube before they take it down, because I have a feeling that's coming in the next week.
Oh man, well, I hope not.
Well, guys, this is a great episode. Thank you guys so much. Like I said at the beginning in the intro, I am putting all my content on SamTripoli.com. I'm going to get off everything else. Put it on SamTripoli.com. I'll maybe put an episode still on Rockfin because a lot of you guys are over there getting everybody's stuff, but moving everything to SamTripoli.com. Again, look out for Quiet. That should be out everywhere soon. I'll put it on YouTube, but I think it's a waste of time. I'm going to put it on Rumble, put it on X, try to get some love there. Look for me on all these podcasts. I'm going to be going to Austin and New York trying to promote the fuck out of this shit. And then, yeah, man. And just go to SamTripoli.com. All of our affiliates are fire. And enjoy these highlights.
Here's a clip from the latest Broken Sim.
Thick boy Julian Assange is free.
You want to talk about that?
Super thick guy. Pasty.
They let him free. He did have to go fly for some reason to some island and kind of sign some paperwork and admit guilt of some kind. In this case, but we saw him. There's a little brief video clip of him walking from a building to this airplane, and he's got like a beer belly, like a prop. I mean, he's been eating well, And like,
Yeah,
you were,
I mean,
what
that's
were you
the
saying,
whole thing.
or
Like,
something, right? That they've been telling us that this guy was on death's doorstep for
100% is just another, like, what is going on here? Because you know my theory, right? That these political pawns in, like, that go to, like, the Denver, like, Supermax, like, do we really know they're there? Do we really know they're there?
no. Nobody can go see him. No, of course not.
Right, everyone's like, El Chapo doesn't see anyone for like 23 hours and blah, blah, blah.
Like
And then you got that one. What's that?
Like Ted Kaczynski, the only way we knew he existed is because he would like correspond with people here and there, but that was it.
Yeah, but I think that's different though. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Like the whole thing with Timothy McVeigh, like his death was just weird. Like, you know, so it's like that's the whole thing. Amy Cheapo, who's, you know,
I'm sorry.
during her name's Amy Cheapo. Yeah, it's like a crazy last name for a woman, but it is. But and trust me, she's not a cheapo. Okay, she's great, and she was always telling me that she thought Julian Assange was some kind of operative. Always.
He just did so much damage to the government and their cause. I mean, he set them back so. There's no way they wanted that. He could be now.
Like what do you mean by that?
There are different.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, what the especially the war crime stuff that they released was devastating to our government's propaganda campaign for the wars. Devastating. All that video footage, you know, the drone footage they leaked, and those assaults on oh God, I mean, civilian deaths and stuff, and the torture.
You know, it's so interesting because you see people when they talk about it, they're always like, "He put lives at stake." I'm like, well, dude, it was an illegal war. Okay, that's what you're pointing out is they're doing illegal shit in an illegal war. The person who put those lives at stake is the U.S. government that faked all this evidence to bring us into war and committed genocide against people. Okay, so that's really what it is. All right. That's my opinion. Like I mean, personally, I think Julian Assange did a lot of great stuff. I think people are you're always gonna have people questioning whether it's real or not. I don't know. I just kind of get tired of just like everything and like what is the
cables? Like, the cables that got leaked, like the State Department cables. Like they hated that. The Guantanamo Bay files.
Well, dude, they dropped the Pizzagate shit. They were the ones who put out Pizzagate. So, yeah, dude. Let's drone strike. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's just crazy.
No way they wanted that out, though, right? There's no way There's nothing. No way.
But why are they letting him out now? Like, what is happening that they go, okay, let him out, so that Joe Biden gets,
I don't know, political
gets
pressure,
credit
maybe?
for it when he's not even going to run? Like, what is
maybe
it?
some political points ahead of the election.
Who, Biden?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, because it's something that Trump should have done.
He's not going to, dude. I mean, he's not going to make it to it's not going to matter. It's like, why is he getting let out right now?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like they had to do it at some point, and it's probably it seems like it's out of. I think they want to release him at a time when the fewest eyes are on it. And think about this debate going on right now. It's dominating the news cycle, so that nobody's going to hear about Assange because this debate has sucked all the oxygen out of the room. Because they don't want people to think you can steal secrets from our government and get away with it, which is kind of
what's so crazy
also,
to me.
There's this possibility that him coming to this agreement actually harms future whistleblowers because he is in some ways admitting guilt and admitting to have violated the Espionage Act, even though the Espionage Act is
but how long has this been going on, Johnny? Like 15 years?
What, the thing with, I mean, the Hillary Clinton's emails was 2016, but the Guantanamo files and the State Department cables, that was all, 14.
When did he end up in the embassy?
Let me see. That would have been, 13 years ago? No, wait. Okay, no, he was in the embassy in 2012, is what it says here. He sought asylum in 2012 first, and then they pulled him out of the embassy in 2019. So, and then he went into custody.
2012. So, 2012. And it's now 2024.
Yeah,
so we're talking 12 years. Okay. At some point, he's like, okay, I have a son. I'd like to see my son. Okay.
Yeah,
I'd like to see my son.
He has never seen, like children. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you do that? How old's his kid?
I can't remember. Let me see.
What are they boning through glory holes? What do they do? Drill a hole and let him stick his
I don't know.
his albino white dick through there? Dude, that guy is albino.
Oh, dude, he's one of the whitest people ever. Yeah, he looks like
Yeah, I mean, my God, talk about
Targaryen from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, dude, wouldn't he fit right in as a Targaryen 100, with that silver?
Yeah, he could totally ride it.
Okay. His son was born in 89, making him 35 years old. But then he has a son named Max, born in 2015, who's around 9.
Well, did they name Max after Super Max that they thought their dad was going to?
Yeah. That's funny. But yeah, I mean, I can't. I'm having trouble looking at this as a bad thing. You know what I mean? Good. I'm just glad.
I mean, like, dude, it's like this thing. It's like, you know, it's like towards the end of Carlin's career, everyone's like, he's lost his edge. I'm like, he's 80, dude. It's not his job to carry on the torch of pushing it. It's your job, the younger comedians. It's the same thing with this. Like, at some point, he should be able to go and live his life and get out of jail and hang out with his kids and like. Dude, imagine what he's coming up to. He's like, Netflix, what the, you know, Amazon Prime, bro. Hold on, they got all of Seinfeld on there. That's crazy,
he's only
bro.
52, dude. He's only 52, so he's got a life left.
Yeah, dude, he's got a lot of love. Dude, that means, dude, he's been in there since he was basically 39, 40.
Oh,
he spent, dude, I love my 40s. This guy spent his whole 40s under house arrest. And dude, come on, bro. Okay, so let's play a game, Johnny. What do you think Julian Assange's new job's going to be? He's not going to probably go into hacking. He's probably like, no, I'm good, dude.
I think that he's going to run WikiLeaks as a nonprofit. You know, he's probably just going to take a salary and live a quiet life. Do you see him doing like press conferences and stuff still, like and releasing?
No. I think he's going to become a DJ. I think he's going to start DJing and just go everywhere. You ever see that video about the guy that like got married young, got divorced, so he decided to start just going and living his life? And he's like 35 and he's hanging out with like 21-year-olds doing Molly. And that's what Julian Assange is going to do. He's just going to go out there and go, oh, dude, I want to try all the new drugs. I want to try all the weird. Yeah, I know. I got a kid.
He lived his life pretty well, it sounds like. I mean, you've seen those videos of him dancing in Sweden or wherever the hell. You know. Yeah,
I think he wants to do that again. And he's gonna get out. He's gonna come home and his wife's gonna be like, do you want to take care of the baby? I have to go run a yoga class. He's like, I've been in jail all day, okay? Forever. Okay. I'd like to go grab a beer with my friends and watch some football. But someone's gotta watch the kid. He's gonna be like, oh, I miss being in jail. At some point, it's like, dude, this is worse than being in jail. When they get in their first fight, he's going, this is worse than being in jail. I wish I was back there. Okay. It's like unbelievable. He's already miserable. He's 52. His kid's like, nah. You find out his kid's illiterate. No, he can't learn anything. He's like, fuck, man. It was so much easier in jail. I got to deal with life now.
Him losing his 40s makes me think of Ross Ulbricht, who is 40 now. You know, that poor guy. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, I love Trump. If I'm first day, I will get them out. It's like everyone knows you're lying, dude. It's just like, we know you're lying.
I really do. I
would love that. I think he should be let out. I mean, we've had his mom on the show before. He should be let out. I mean, it's so obvious what they're doing, you know?
It just makes me sad.
It's like, my favorite thing is like, black market is real capitalism.
Oh, 100% it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And that's what they don't want. They don't want the black market.
No, they don't want.
So they blame it on this guy.
So I went to see, I saw
Johnny real quick before you get into personal stories.
Okay.
So, you know, it's super creepy, dude.
What?
Thomas Massey. Have you seen that? The video that of like his wife suddenly dies suddenly.
Oh, I haven't seen a video. I know she died, but I haven't seen a video.
No. But like, have you seen the story?
Yeah.
You don't think that's weird?
I saw his post about it. Like, I mean, I can show it right here. This is now Representative Thomas Massey, if you don't know, is one of the sort of Paulian members of Congress. I would say Ron Paul. You know, he followed in his footsteps. It says this. His Twitter post says this. Representative Massey's Twitter post says this. Yesterday, my high school sweetheart, the love of my life for 35 years, the loving mother of our four children, the smartest, kindest woman I ever knew, my beautiful and wise queen forever, Rhonda, went to heaven. Thank you for your prayers for our family in this difficult time. And then he's got some photos of her here. What's the angle here? What are you saying?
Well, so he just came out. He just came out with end the Fed. He's trying to end the Fed.
Well, he's been trying to do that.
He talked about how AIPAC has a handler. Okay.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we just talked about that like 2 weeks ago. Oh, I didn't even think about the Israel thing. Yeah.
We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Tinfoil hack.